You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 21st day of September, 2017. Hope you're having a great Thursday. It's almost Friday, and I know how that makes you feel. The work week is almost done. Unless you've chosen the path of an entrepreneur. Yeah, the great American dream, to own your own home and then to own your own business, where nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody tells you when to show up or when to go home or take lunch, because you don't get to do any of those things. You never leave the office. As I quote from the great movie Wall Street, lunch is for women and children. No offense to any of the women or children in the audience. Some of the best traders I've known. Miss Leslie Burton, for one. Well, her name gives it away. She's a lady. Yes, you've heard her on this radio program. And she writes a great newsletter every Friday, the Weekly Gold Digger. If you haven't read it, you should check it out. It's usually available on Inside Futures, Bar Chart, and a number of other places by 6 p.m. Friday afternoon. But if you just Google the Weekly Gold Digger, you'll find it. So, now that I've offended half the audience, the women and the children, I apologize. I was just quoting a movie, that's all. We have Ed Corey showing up today at 12:45 p.m. Eastern. Let me double check my time here. He sent me a digital missive. No longer a knight in white satin. What would we call this? These would be knights in black plastic? I don't know. Anyway, who doesn't remember that song? What a great song. If I can just get to his text message. 12:45 Eastern. That is correct. Okay. So, if you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a special welcome to you. If you can't see the chart I have up, we display charts throughout the show. When Ed comes on, he'll be displaying his charts from his platform. He is our resident Elliotician, so he was once a professional crude trader. He traded boatloads of crude while you and I trade, a few contracts. If you have a question about Elliott Wave, about what count we're on in the S&P or crude or gold, he's the man to ask. His busy schedule only allows him to join us every other Thursday, but we always look forward to it. We always have a great discussion. We always have a great time. Okay? So, if you want to see the chart and you can't, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, big microphone, click it, follow the instructions. You're registered through the end of the month. That means you join the show each day with one-click access. Come first of the month, you register again. Takes 30 seconds. The other way to do it is to go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. Okay, now you can bookmark that, and so with one click, bing, you access the show daily. It doesn't matter which platform you're logged in on, you see the same chart, you hear the same audio. Only difference is you're in different chat boxes, okay? But I try to keep my eye on both, and Michael and I do, and answer any questions accordingly. Yesterday, we sort of made the official announcement of the CT Global coin, which I told you yesterday that I thought we would begin the sale in 2 weeks. I see nothing standing in our way of doing so. In fact, I managed to video last night the first transaction. I then videoed tracking it through the system as it made its merry way along all the humps and bumps and digital crooks in the road. And then I went back and I videoed the account, which showed that it was confirmed and verified and that the first transaction had gone through. Now, there won't be any more transactions until we officially open our doors. Again, the way it's going to work, partners, CFRN partners, have first opportunity, and the way it's going to work, and this is pretty typical with cryptocurrencies, that there's a bonus, an incentive, if you will. And so partners, during their week, for every one coin that they buy, they will receive a bonus of 3 coins. Week number 2, the CFRN community at large, those of you that visit our blog and our website and come and listen to the radio every day, listen to our podcasts, on week 2, for every coin that you buy, you will get a bonus of 2 coins. Week 3, we will issue a press release to the public. And on the 3rd week, anybody who can fog the mirror will be able to buy a coin and get a bonus of 1 coin for every coin bought. And then as we roll into week number 4, the bonuses are gone and it's business as normal. Got to tell you this, it's very exciting. Cryptocurrency debit cards are becoming all the rage. You have a prepaid, a couple ways you can go. You have a prepaid Visa logo debit card that you can spend anywhere, restaurants, hotels, at the car wash. And you fund it through your cryptocurrency account. Just piece of cake. Seamless. The place where you're spending your money, because of the Visa logo and the debit card, they don't know whether it's backed by the US dollar, German mark, or the CT global coin. This is just another step in bringing cryptocurrencies into the mainstream. I'm even looking into issuing our own debit card. And I won't go into all the reasons why, but one of the things that was plaguing me is I talked to you yesterday about a goal I have, and that is to help fund the underground church in China, where it's illegal. You can get shot, you can wind up in prison. Sometimes they tolerate it to a degree, and then other times they just wig out and throw you under the jail, as they say. So getting money to these folks can sometimes be difficult. However, if they are in possession of a crypto debit card, then I can load their card from our account. It takes seconds. We just have to send one email. I'm not one email, but one physical mail that has their card in it. I mean, I'm getting way ahead of myself, and there's some people's heads still spinning, going, "What is blockchain? What is?" I don't even know what. My wife, she made the first transaction, and she's like, "Oh God, I don't understand this." The new website will have an educational section with videos and charts, and I'm going to write it at a reading level that I can understand, okay? Because most of the stuff I've read, I can't even understand. So I'm going to get Ethan from Block Geeks to help me, if he will. He's been a great benefit in just giving me some counsel along the way as we make progress with this. So I want anyone who goes to the website to be able to spend 15 minutes, and while you still may not understand everything, you'll at least know enough that you feel comfortable. It's like my car, okay? I'm no mechanic, trust me. I can usually put gas in without help from the attendant, but that's pretty much where it stops. If I want air in my tires, I go up here to Discount Tire, pull into the bay, and as a courtesy, the guy will fill up your tires. So anyway, even though I don't know how the internal combustion engine really works, I know there's gas and there's sparks and there's plugs and there's all this other stuff, but I don't, put a gun to my head, I couldn't explain to you how that really works. But I'm completely confident getting into my daddy van and driving anywhere. I would drive across country, not have a problem. I know how to apply the brakes and put on the turn signals and blow the horn and turn up the stereo, turn up the AC. So will you ever understand it all? Probably not. Will I ever understand it all? I hope so, because I know a lot of people will have a lot of questions for me. Now, I'm also planning to start a standalone podcast, separate from the radio show, okay? But it's only going to be about 10 to 15 minutes a day. With any luck, I'll be able to speak to someone else in the industry, and we'll talk about what happened that day, what was in the headlines. And this debit card thing was a big deal in the headlines yesterday, although the concept's been around for a while. And whether you're using Bitcoin or Ethereum, which is my preference, and I built our currency on the Ethereum blockchain, not the Bitcoin blockchain, and I've explained the reason in the past. But no matter what alternative currency you are in possession of, it is created off some type of blockchain technology. I know heads are spinning again. So I think I'm going to call that standalone podcast Off the Chain. Yeah, I kind of like that. So anyway, let's take a look at the numbers, and then we'll get over to Michael, get a recap of the live training room today. Then we'll be ready for John, and we'll be ready for Ed when he makes his appearance. Now, let me reload this baby so I'm giving you the right numbers for sure. Okay. We're going to start here in the US of A, where the Dow is currently down 30 points. NASDAQ is down 17.5. S&P 500 is down 4. The only green on the screen in the US markets, these are cash markets, the Russell is up a little over 1 point. I don't think I need to say it, but we got no movers and no shakers. Oh, and this next part just breaks my heart. Crude oil down 4 cents, trading 50.65 last. That's not the heartbreaker. Someone passed me a tissue. Gold down a little over $19 today, 1.5%, trading $12.97.20. We breached 1300 again. Now, I said all along, once we broke 13 and headed north, I don't think we ever really came back to test 13 as good support. So I'm hoping that in the grand scheme of things that we've simply pulled back to 1300 to test it as support, and we got a little spike below 1300, and perhaps by the end of the day we'll be back up over 1300 again. No promises there, but everybody's got to have a dream. Big dreams cost the same as little dreams. The Asian markets today were mostly red. The Nikkei did close up 37 points. The Shanghai was down almost 8 points, and the Hang Seng closed the day down 17.5 points. European markets, the FTSE closed down 8 points. The DAX closed up 30 points. And the CAC, of all things, closed up 25 points. And I think that's the only mover and shaker that we have on the whole board, other than gold. With the CAC being up 25 points at the close, that's 49.49%, so almost half of 1%. We're really grasping here in this low volatility type of market. If you can see the chart I have, because you followed the instructions or you've just been doing it forever, yesterday at 2 o'clock, the Fed made their announcement, and these weekly trading zones, these are this week's zones, which were sent to our partners Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, before Wall Street woke up. Well, you know the story of the week. I'll just drag you through it real quick. Globex opened Sunday night. We hit this zone Above it, below it, above it, below it. It became a center of gravity. That happens sometimes, and price will just oscillate above and below, above and below. This is a little bit unusual for it to go on for that length of time. But as the Fed announcement came out, we got a big red candle. These are 30-minute candles, and we came right down to the weekly zone, 24.95/96. Spiked it a little bit, and then ran right back up to the zone overhead at 52.53. And on this candle, we overshot it, but we did not put in a new high. Okay, and that right there told you a lot. Okay, when we did not take out this high with this candle, and this candle closed red, well, you just kind of are pretty certain that price is heading back to the zone. And then a feeble attempt to rally, and this morning, boom, right back down to the zone again. About face, right back up to the zone. And as we open today's radio show, we are right inside our weekly trading zone, as we so often are. Why? I don't know. Historical observance over all these years. We are in our second decade of doing this. We've only been publishing the zones, though, since December 14th of 2009. But quite often, like I think most of the time, we open the show and we're inside of a weekly zone. U.S. Treasuries are higher after the Fed suggests December rate hike. Goldman Sachs has already said it's going to happen, so I guess it's a done deal. The dollar is at a 2-month high against the yen. Gold is at a 4-week low as the Fed flags the December rate hike. And U.S. Treasury yields vary as investors digest the latest data reports. Okay. We got a lot to cover today. We'll do our best to cover it all. On the S&P last night, we said to consider selling 2,500. It was good for 3.5 points. Same trade as the night before, because the market keeps doing the same thing, except there was actually 6 points available on the night before. But anyway, let's get over to Michael, get that recap. I'll be back. We'll cover some things. John will show up. Ed will show up. And your questions will be answered. Whatever questions you have, you just stuff them into that chat box, and Michael or I will do our very best to answer.
There's one in there by Frederick right now.
Hello, Frederick. What will the we're not going to do a full-blown ICO. We're not going to do a crowdfund sale. We're just going to issue. We're going to already be on an exchange, and we're going to simply issue a PR. There's reasons behind that, and if you want, I can communicate with you by email or phone and explain it. But Frederick's question was, and it's a great question, what will the ICO price be per coin? Have you determined it yet? Yes, that value has been established. It's currently trading at $1 per coin. Okay. There are 1 million coins, and it is written into the smart contract that there will never be more than 1 million coins. Unlike the Fed, it goes back to the printing press when they need some money, just print out some more dollars backed by nothing. We will have an example or an opportunity to see what true supply and demand looks like. No manipulation, no interference, no quantitative easing, no nothing. Come heck or high water, recession or not, tech meltdown, real estate blow up, Mother Nature, doesn't matter. It will stand on its own 2 feet. And that's it. And
Sort of like Berkshire Hathaway stock.
I'm sorry?
Never split. I said it's sort of like the Berkshire Hathaway stock,
Yeah,
which is never split.
yeah, that's an amazing thing. What does that stock trade at these days?
$275,470 a share.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, in the interest of transparency, guys, I will say that there's one thing I wish I had done different. But a consultant said maybe I should do something different than everybody else. But most alt currencies go out 18 decimal points. Okay. The CT Global coin only goes out 2. So, for good or bad, whatever it is, because it's carved in stone now. So, and that's okay. I just, I tried so many times to put this project back on the shelf. In my little talks with God, I'd say, I got so much going on, and look at my desk, and I just don't see how I can do this right now. And then I'd fall asleep in my chair. Exhaustion would overtake me, and then something would wake me, and it was the CT Global coin. It had jumped off the shelf into my lap and woke me up and said, "You've had a nap, now get back to work." And so I'm gonna assume that's God pointing me in that direction until He tells me different. So I got my ear to the ground, and I'm excited, but a very bridled excitement. I kind of have a feeling like when I started HandyNet, and that was my previous company that I owned before we started CFRN, or CT Global Media, which is the parent company of CFRN and Christian Traders. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, and I'm glad to be here with each and every one of you.
All right. That was the question. Mr. Frederick.
I can see your chart, so I'll hit mute, and I will be here when you are. What's really unusual?
What?
Is that video? Oh no! Today it's loading in the right place.
This one?
Yeah, because a lot of times the video that's halfway down the page.
Yeah.
The one. No.
Oh, halfway down. This one?
Yeah, nope. Just up above that. Oh, mama. It's not even showing up on your page now?
There's that one. That one.
What it means to be a trader. That one's not even showing up on your page right now.
Let me refresh my page.
It's very refreshing.
It is. Let me refresh it. Okay, we got that one.
Yeah, because for a couple days in a row, I saw it at the top of your page.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Guys, if there's anybody in the audience who has never watched that video will, by the way, be on the CT Global Coin site. It just, man, that thing's, the first time, it'll speak to you. Trust me. If you've never scrolled down and watched it after the show today, do it. It'll give you goosebumps. All right, I'm going to hit mute.
And
yeah.
Okay, and there's just one more thing from Alan that was in there. When does the currency go on sale? We'll let all active CFRN partners know.
Yeah. We're looking at a 2-week time frame, and as of yet, I don't have any obstacles in the way of that. So the first week will be active CFRN partners. Second week will be the community at large. In fact, in other words, if you're not a part of the community, you won't know about it because there won't be a press release. And then the third week we'll do a press release and let the world know. Okay. And the audacity of Charisma, for a full page ad, they want $9,000. They only have circulation of 150,000 people. It's a great magazine, and when I had a little more evangelical in me, and first found out about contemporary Christian music, when I learned there was something other than the hymnal, I really enjoyed Charisma. But I think they're, well, I'm just going to say it's a great magazine. Okay, leave it at that. Have you ever read it, Michael?
Charisma? No, I have not.
Yeah, it just tells you what's going on in the world of the modern Christian today, and interviews with bands, whoever's popular at the moment. Third day. I was going through my third day period back then. Saw them live in concert. Saw Stephen. I can't think of his name. The poor guy. He's really famous, and Christian artists don't make a lot, though, guys. I'm telling you. And they have all the same expenses, except drugs, of contemporary, musicians, rock stars,
right.
Whatever. But
right.
They just don't get paid as much. And Stephen Curtis Chapman, that's his name. Stephen Curtis Chapman, one of my favorites. His little son was playing behind the car, and he didn't see it. And if I remember the story correctly, he backed over his little boy.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, and then his next album had some songs that reflected the pain and.
Oh, I did.
God, I've committed my life to you. Everything I do is for you. I travel for you. I sing for you. How? Why? I mean, you could feel his pain in the lyrics. So, anyway, it's all yours, buddy.
Okay. All right. We're gonna roll here now. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 21st day of September, 2017. Now, today, well, we had, Dwayne was just talking about some things that are just, new, amazing, record-breaking. I have some too. If you have not taken our free trial, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net, and right up at the very top where it says sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room, 100% free trial. Use our indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you'll be brought to this page. On this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. You hit the submit button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Once you click on the confirmation link, well, then you'll be sent all the information to get into our luxurious 5-day free trial. Okay. Now, we gotta go to the recap, and this is where the record-breaking stuff is. This is the first time in 4.5, 5 years we've had 4 non-green days in a row. The markets have just been uncooperative this week. I mean, we're still positive, but today we lost 8 ticks in crude and we lost 4 ticks in gold. It took us 6 trade opportunities to get there. On the month, we're at 1247.50 now. That's over 14 days, averaging $89 per day. We have 6 trading days left to the month to get that up, and we will. I don't know how far it'll go up, but we'll get it up there. On the year now, $26,110. That's over 178 days, averaging $146 a day. Yeah, that's kind of shocking. Now this is gold. Dwayne was talking earlier about how gold dropped 19 bucks. This is what happened to it yesterday when the FOMC came out. I mean, and it's just been dropping since then. It tried a little recovery right here. This 1293 area right here. We actually, if I go back to the 4-tick range on that, the 1293 area, I was drawing a trend line. Well, a trend area, not a trend line. I'm sorry, it's a support line that I was basing on just looking left, saying, it's giving us a shorting opportunity here. This is gonna be buying area right here, and it gave us 4 ticks right there, and it continued down a little bit after that, after it stopped us out with plus 4 ticks and gave a momentum short trade here that was good for just a couple of ticks. But then it failed here, and it started it started to move up. Now, the 1300 area is a psychological area. All right, and there's going to be a lot of buyers and sellers at that area. You know, if we go to like a 5-minute chart, look, this 1300 area right here, it was congested right here. We got up above it, we came back down below it, then we got back up to it, and then it sold off all the way down here. Okay, so just using what we do, we ended up stopping out once. We ended up stopping out once on the gold, gaining 4 ticks once on the gold. See, we stopped out here pretty much to the tick, and then it moved down like it should have. Did not put in a lower swing. We had a break even there, a stop out there, a +4 there. And we missed a win there, a break even there, and nothing over there. Okay. On the euro, we did nothing today on the euro. Let's see. Right here was a little bit of a move up right here. We missed that one, we missed that one, and we missed that one, and that one. So all the trades that we missed were profitable. And then during the break, it really didn't give anything until right here, and that would have been a break even. Okay. And that was the euro today. On crude oil, let's see, right here, we had a stop out. Okay, we stopped out, -8 ticks there, and a break even right there. And nothing right in there. Okay, on the Russell, there was a shorting opportunity right there that I missed that probably would have gotten me my goal for the day if I'd have picked up on it. It was 44.5 down to 43.3. So yeah, if I'd have seen it, it probably would have been the goal for the day. But then it did not put in a lower swing, so we weren't looking for anything until we got down here, and then the slingshot was not right. Actually, no, that wasn't a trade because the cycle was going up too steep. Kristen, are you in here? E, F, G, H, I, J, K. No, Kristen is not in. Okay, so then the cycle is just not giving us any trade setups until over here. All right, right here we had broken dynamic resistance, and there was a long opportunity. We missed. And during the break, there was one long right here. Okay, that gave some profit. And another one right here that did not give profit. Well, I gave a little bit. And right now, it's trying to put together another long trade. The high of the day on the gold is, hang on, way up at 1305, I think. Yeah, 1305 is the high of the day. Oh, we're not even looking at gold. We're looking at the Russell. Sorry, got distracted. Now the high of the day is 1449.8. So this is the high of the day right here. Okay, so you have to be careful of that. The ES had one shorting opportunity right here that I really thought was going to get down into the zone. It got most of the way there, but not all the way. And it came back up, and it's been stuffed inside this zone now for an hour and a half. Hour and a half in like a 1 point range. Or 2 point range, sorry. And that was it. That was it today, guys. So we just need the volatility to get back into the markets. You know, we've had 4 days in a row where we didn't get the goal for the day. That's highly unusual. Highly unusual. But anyway, on the day, again, we're -8 on crude, -4 on gold. Took 6 trade opportunities today. 1247.5 over 14 days on the month. That's $89. And on the year, 26,110. That's over 178 days, averaging 146 a day. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. And up here at the very top where it says click here, click there, right here, where it says sign up for the live training room. 100% free trial. User indicators, learn our strategy. Click there. That will bring you to this page. And on this page, put in your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button. And that's all you have to do. Okay, once you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. If you don't click that confirmation link, then, well, you will not get the free trial because we don't know you took the trial until you click that. All right? And that is that. So with that, I'm going to pass it back out to Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I told you hiring that girl with the cue card was a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Did you watch that video I sent you of that spinning coin?
I did.
Isn't that
Pretty
sweet?
cool.
Yeah.
That is.
And I'll be editing that this afternoon so that it says exactly what we want it to say.
Exactly what we want it to say.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are we going to have the kneeling knight on it?
We're going to have to see. He could be, like when you go to the home page, he could be like the background image of the whole page.
Okay.
He might just be an icon and a favicon. I don't know if you know what a favicon is?
I do not.
Okay, I'll show you. When you go to certain websites like Google, this little thing right here, or if you go to Business Insider, this little thing right here, that's called favicon.
Okay.
You see it?
Yep.
Yeah. So, because I'm having some issues with I accidentally made him the entire background image of the home page, and it shocked me at first, but then I go, wait, that looks kind of good. And then I started trying to crop it, and I ran into some issues. I knew how to use that particular software pretty good a few years ago. And
the WordPress, you mean?
Yeah, because I created, let's see. Let me see if I still got this here.
Because I've never done anything with WordPress.
Yeah, it's highly favorable over. There's so many plugins available. You can make it do so much cool stuff, sort of automatically. So, I know that I built. Oh, maybe it's here.
Alan has a new question in the box.
Okay, Alan, get right to it. If my browser don't freeze up. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Alright, I'll take one more stab at it, and then I won't burden the folks waiting. Yes, if it's not here, I don't know where it could be. Really? Oh. Sometimes when you want to find something, you just gotta use Google. Yeah. Now I never really used this, but I built it, and This is back when we were in the early days of Christian Traders, when we were trying to warn the world that this company was a straight up fraud. This was CMKM Diamonds, and it was hard to find someone who didn't own shares in this thing. And man, I'm telling you, the drama that went on around this. Urban Casavant was the CEO, and if you Google an open letter to Urban Casavant, you'll probably find a letter that I wrote to him. My friend Mark Falk wrote a book, Naked Shorting the American Dream, I think it was called, something like that. And so people were promised these incredible payoffs. When it went so low, then the rumor became that it was part of a government sting operation to take down all these evildoers and drug smugglers, and oh my God, it just and it went on 24/7. There used to be a real popular chat room application. I think it was called Pal Talk. There were several rooms devoted to this stock, and any time of the day or night, 3 in the morning, you could go and there'd be 50 to 500 people in that room. And there were always these people who painted themselves as actors who were in the know, who had, the real story and the real secrets. And they would promise people 2 weeks from Thursday, you're going to get a dividend and blah, blah, blah. And the thing was so cheap. I bought 20 million shares just so that I had a right to talk about it. I think it cost me $20 or something. That's how many decimal points that thing had in it.
Yeah, it had a lot of decimal points.
Now, I know marriages ruined, businesses ruined, lives taken, people committed suicide because they believed in this so much. And Urban, he had a drag racer, so he would go from city to city where there were tracks, and he would meet the people and tell them how awesome everything was going, even with all the decimal points. And he would, while he was in town, he would go to the local children's hospital and hand out teddy bears. That helped to spread the urban legend of Urban Casavant. Mark and I finally tracked him down one morning on the radio show, and we got him to answer a phone up in Canada that he didn't think anybody had that phone number, but we got it, and he answered. And we told him who we were and that he had some answering to do to his shareholders, and he said, "I have nothing to say," and hung up. And to my knowledge, that's the last anybody has ever heard from him. John, I keep trying to think of the guy's last name. He had the stock certificate book in his back pocket. And man, that guy would just go out, start drinking, just start writing out share certificates to people. It was the most insane thing. Guys, if you want to read a good mystery novel, but it's actually a 100% true story, Google Mark Fault and Naked Shorting or the American Dream, and there's also a movie. It's available on the internet. I forget what it's called. This is all so many years ago. I mean, gosh, this was back in 2005. Let me just see what happens if I type in. So my point to you originally, before I went down the rabbit trail, was see how I was able to use.
Yes.
I just got to remember how to do it now, and yeah. So let's go. Christian Traders press release CMKX. Christian Traders request interview with CEO Urban Casavant. World Business Review. Christian Traders. Press release. Is that from us? No. So See, in the beginning, I was under the ether with everybody else. But once I realized what was going on, then I tried to get everybody out. Christian traders, the internet's fastest growing faith-based online investment community, is pleased to announce an exciting development which will enable the company to share its corporate vision worldwide via a highly respected and winning television news program. World Business Review, blah, blah, blah. So anybody that has any, that thing's long dead and gone, but I guarantee there's still people out there waiting for the check to show up in the mail. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Absolutely unbelievable.
It's a mess.
How obsessed people were with this thing. So
it's a sub-penny stock.
I don't even think it trades anymore.
Yeah, usually what they do when they're sub-penny like that, they'll try to sell it as a.
I think it got delisted. Yeah, they'll try to sell the shell, but boy, nobody would want that shell with all the baggage that came with it. Oh my gosh.
Man, I can't imagine. If you had 20 million shares for $20. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah. It might have been $50. I don't know, but it was like I've still got the certificate. I was trying to last night I took videos, as I told you, of those transactions.
Yep.
And I was trying to email them to you, and I don't know if my phone was just like being quirky, but I couldn't send it via email. I'm going to see if it'll go to you via a message.
I got 2 videos that you sent.
Oh,
I have 2 of them, but not of the transaction though.
Not ones that I sent, right? All right, I'm going to hit send.
No, I got 4 of them from you, all within about 15 minutes. 10:58, 11, 11:04, 11:22.
Okay, guys, Ed is here, so we're going to go to him straight away. So I just texted the videos to you.
Okay.
They wouldn't email. It said they were too big, and I couldn't. I guess I don't have. I've got Dropbox, but I didn't have it on my phone. So this is the 3rd one. So we'll see if any of them. We'll see if any of them go through.
Oh wait. Hang on. Yep, it went through.
It did.
Got to my email, not my phone. Got to my email though. I got 2 of them just now.
Yeah, but I sent them using text message. Oh well. Oh well. I know Ed's on a short leash today, so I better
okay.
Open up his mic and say howdy. Howdy, Ed.
Howdy.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay.
Are you?
How you guys doing?
We're doing awesome, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like living the dream. Wild Wild West. We've rolled out our own cryptocurrency, which will launch in about 2 weeks. Be available in
Did
stages
you really do
to the
that?
public. Yes.
Are you kidding or not?
No, I'm not kidding at all. In fact, if you can see my screen, this is a very rudimentary. I don't know what do you call it?
Rudimentary.
Rudimentary. Thank you. Thank you for correcting. CT Global Media Family presents the future of currency for the global Christian community. CT Global Coin. It will trade under the symbol CTG. Prosperity for God's people. And
wow, you move fast.
Yeah, and the really big news. I was sitting here last night going, God, I've talked to people about the ability to fund the underground church in China, because our senior pastor, he goes there undercover and teaches 5 days a year. Stays in a different hotel room every night, uses a different driver every day, and teaches behind locked doors at a different location each day. That's how serious it is. And so lots of people want to fund the underground church, so that they can do things, and getting money to them can be difficult, but this will enable money to get there. This is just one of the uses of the coin. But I was trying to figure out, okay, once it gets there and they can see it on their computer, it's in their Ether wallet, how do they get it out of the computer and spend it? And I was honest, this is not just one of those Christian stories. I was sitting at my desk going, God, how's this gonna? And I have a news feed on Telegram, and it went bing, and I looked in the bottom right hand corner of my secondary monitor, and it said cryptocurrency debit cards now all the rage, complete with Visa logo. I'm like, man, you really are God, aren't you? And if I ever doubted you, I'm completely sorry. Let me pass you the charts, brother. So the website will, we've got a 2-week time frame, and that depends mostly on John getting me incorporated in Switzerland and me finishing the website. So,
so wait, you're not quite ready yet to go, but you may be soon, huh?
I'm thinking 2 weeks. That's my time frame that I've given people.
Do you have the website name yet?
Oh yeah, no? Yeah. I've owned that since 2000.
Hey.
Okay, I just shot you the charts, and I always lose your audio for just a second when I shift the charts over to you.
Okay.
Oh, I heard you. Okay. Yeah, see, the Christian Traders community used to be, we had 2,500 members, and the most members we had on the site at any one time was a little over 1,000. It was a very active forum, website, the whole nine. But some of the members started talking about these pump and dump stocks. And so I addressed them numerous times, and I said, if you guys don't stop this, I'm gonna shut it down. And nobody believed that I would, pull the plug on that kind of traffic and all, you'll figure some way to distance yourself from it legally and not be. I pulled the plug. I just said, guys, I sent out an email to everybody. I said, I've had enough. I ask you to behave. You refuse. Go try to log in. And I just completely, it was a big site. If you tried to go there, it said this URL cannot be found or whatever. And then I put it back online a couple years ago as a feeder page to CFRN. And now I know why I was originally instructed to register that. So, anywho, it's not about me, it's all about you. We only get you every other Thursday. So what's going on in your life? Anything new?
No, just the regular fires to put out.
Yeah. Did you throw up this morning
had some
when
fun
gold?
with my grandkids this week. I rarely take off during the week, but I did on Monday and Tuesday, and had a really nice time with my 4-month-old grandson and my 4.5-year-old granddaughter. So that really makes you sit back and think. When I'm pretty mechanized when I'm at home working, and I get locked in, and sometimes it's easy to forget all the great gifts God's given me. And my daughter called me and she said, Dad, Ezra doesn't even really know you yet, because I have just I was there when he was born, and he's 4 months old, and I've probably seen him 5 times in 4 months, and so that's just not enough. She's about 70 miles away from us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on that. you know, I really am a little out of balance with this stuff. So every now and then I have to get back on track. And so I had a great time for 2 days playing with my grandkids. It was just wonderful. Wonderful. Much better than This Is Always Here for me, right? This is always ready for us to go to work on.
Yeah.
Whenever we want it. We work from home. You know, it's just there. It's there 24 hours, right? Sometimes it's more exciting at night than in the day. And it's really tempting, you know, to let that take over. It's hard to be a partial trader and keep your head in the game. But I think there's a lot of merit to getting that balance into your life too. Because I don't know about you, Dwayne, but when I take off, I always take the market with me. But a lot of times, you know, I'll just turn it off and forget about it while I'm on vacation. But I will look at it at night. I will check it every day. But it doesn't take the time that it takes now. So when I'm here and home and focused. So it's so important for us to get a fresh perspective on the market. And I know sometimes when I come back from vacation, I have a lot fresher perspective on what the market is doing. I can take you know, a look at it in about an hour and go over all the markets I'm interested in and have a totally different perspective than I would have had I been working day after day after day. Have you ever seen that happen to you? Do you get a different perspective when you're out?
I'll tell you, the last time I got away, and I can't even remember the last time I got away for a weekend, but when I'm at home and when I'm at work, I don't wake up hungry. I wake up with my mind racing, and it's usually late in the afternoon before I break bread for the first time that day. And I know that's not good for you and it's not healthy, but it's been that way since I was 21. But when I go away for the weekend, even if it's just, you know, leave Friday afternoon, going to come back Sunday night, Saturday morning, I wake up ravenous. I can't wait to get down to the, you know, free breakfast or free brunch, or even if we're staying someplace that doesn't offer that and we got to go to a restaurant. I mean, and I eat like a lumberjack because I'm relaxed, I'm disconnected from the markets. Now, this isn't just a market thing, because the previous company that I own, HandyNet, where I had 50 employees and blah blah, that it was the same way back then. Exact same. I could not, I could even think of eating in the early morning, and it would be late in the afternoon. I would finally start to feel, you know, once I knew that the day that it was late enough in the day that there was a high probability that there would be no huge disaster today, you know,
right,
I would relax enough for my normal instincts to kick in, and I would feel hunger, and so I would eat. and you know, my wife says, you know, that's not good for you, there's diabetes in your family. I said, you know what, when I'm hungry, I eat. Unfortunately, when it gets about bedtime and I'm like totally relaxed because maybe I've been, you know, in the lazy boy watching TV for an hour or so,
and you're ready for the filet mignon,
man, bring it on. Bring it on. Surf and turf, baby. And that's one of the worst things you can do is, you know, eat a bunch and then go to bed. So
yeah,
that's
I can relate to that.
Good for you.
Sure.
So.
Well, hey, if that's all your problem is, you don't have too many problems, brother. That's good if that's what drives you at that point. But, you know, we do need to take breaks. We do need to think. You know, I realized, you know, when I hear a good sermon, a lot of times it just slaps me and, you know, right in the face and says, you know, if you focused on me as much as you do some of those markets, you might have a lot easier life. That comes through to me in certain sermons, okay? And it's not that I neglect the Lord. I feel like, I need them 24/7. I just, I know I do. I talk to him throughout the day, and I feel like I can hear his voice, and sometimes I don't feel like I can, but I know he's there. And that's the good thing about we as Christians have we don't realize, we don't give God the credit for being God.
Right.
I mean, this is the creator of the universe that we can speak with, that cares more about me than I care about myself.
Yep. And we don't need a long distance operator. We can go straight to the source. Yeah.
But when how many times do I get wound up in the problem and not in the problem solver? If I focus on the problem solver, the Lord, as much as I focus on the problem sometimes, and I think it's human nature that, hey, I've seen this picture before, I know how to get through it. But, it can get to the point where you can't get through it on your own, and you really can't figure this problem out, whether it be social or business or family. You can get to that point. I mean, God allows us to get to that point, and we realize that we're dependent upon him. And that isn't a weakness to be dependent on the creator of the universe. That's a strength. And I need to constantly remind myself, I'm not weak when I don't figure it out on my own. We all have certain weaknesses, and we all have some similar weaknesses too. A similar emotion reactions sometimes to problems and stress. And I just underestimate the power of the Lord. And I know when I first came to know him, that there wasn't anything that could convince me that I would ever turn away from him. He gave me all his faith in a flurry. And I'll tell you, the verse I appreciate the most is that he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And we cannot find the rock anywhere else. I mean, it's not there. It's all temporary. He's the only permanent fixture that we have. And by tapping in and letting him guide us closer, and by me being not just obedient to the commandments, but being strong in my obedience to God and what he's telling me, and being strong in my courageousness in how I approach problems with God. He wants us to be strong. He wants us to be bold. And that comes from only him. Now, it takes a long time for us self-made men to realize that, and we need to be reminding ourselves of that he is it. He is it.
Amen.
And he cannot be it if our family and our spouses and our children and our grandchildren aren't primary. They're primary with him. He's first. I mean, I've always looked at it. First God, second family, third work. Friends, family, kind of together, and then work.
Yeah.
But he's also there in the workplace. And the workplace is a great opportunity to witness for him.
Oh, and
he will lay out more stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you notice it, Dwayne, when you step out for him, that he lays more on you to share with people. And sometimes that means going through some troubles. He never said we wouldn't have these trials and troubles as we go through life. He just said, I'm more than enough.
My previous company, with 50 employees, where we only hired those fresh out of prison, recovering from drugs, chronically homeless, all the people nobody else would hire. That was who we hired. We existed for that purpose.
Wow.
And we were an openly
Good for
Christian.
you.
We were an openly Christian company, and we paused every day for 30 minutes for God's time, we called it. And I left the employees on the clock for that. And it was huger than huge. So as I migrated so I sold that company, and I started CFRN, and that's really where my heart was. And so I sold the other company, which I didn't think I would ever do. It was only natural. I mean, the Christian Financial Radio Network, we were to be a Christian talk radio station and nothing more. I mean, that's what we were going to be. And it became evident over time that our audience consisted of people who wanted to learn how to trade, and that's what we spent most of our time doing on the radio program, was trying to explain. This was back before we had the benefit of, like, everybody can see your charts now. I can see your charts now. This is going way back to 2006, when that wasn't an affordable luxury for us. And so Michael and I, after my trip to Machu Picchu, we decided that we had to form an official educational arm to the company, because it was kind of taking over our life. And so I have since taken, a lot of heat, because we are a Christian company, like Chick-fil-A and Tyson's. Did you know Tyson's has 1,500 chaplains on payroll to counsel their employees? Chick-fil-A, Whataburger. I got a list of about 20 major national and international companies that are Hobby Lobby, that are very strong on their beliefs. So there's an article out there. It's on Seeking Alpha. It's called God Chasers and Emini Traders. It's about a 5-minute read, and it explains why, when we developed the educational arm of CFRN, we didn't change the name. Because people are always like, well, I was in your room, and it looks really good, and and I like what you're doing, but I just don't understand why you got to drag God into it. Well, because he's an important part of our life. I see it when we go to Africa. In America, most Christians show their Christianity on Sunday. They go to church for a couple hours. But in Africa, God's not a part of their life. He is their life. They don't have anything else. They're on fire 7 days a week, not just, for an hour during praise and worship.
The Holy Spirit seems to blaze in places like Africa.
Oh my God. You pull up to a mud hut to take somebody to church, and I'm literally a mud hut. They'll come out of that mud hut. He's got one white shirt, but that thing is it's blindingly white. It's perfectly pressed, big smile, and this is a guy who has a life expectancy of 45 and probably doesn't know where his next meal is coming from. And he is so filled with the joy of the Lord, it makes me feel ashamed.
I understand. I've had the same feeling. Yeah, I understand. I do. Wow. Well, I'm sitting here with my mouth open because you're telling me things that I've seen happen with me, and you're telling me more than happened with me. So that's great, brother. I would say this, that when you're pressed hard, you got to press into the Lord and see what he wants you to do. And, my pastor said this last weekend. He said, the presence of trouble does not mean the absence of God.
Yes, that's so true.
And I thought, that's really, simply said, very revealing. Because we feel so isolated when we're under more and more pressure to achieve something, whatever the problem is, or get it resolved, that we focus on that problem so much that if we spent some time, like let's say you tithed your time, 10% of the time you're going to work on this thing, that you spend 10% of your time with the Lord, well, that 10% of the time with him is worth, more than the 90% focusing on the problem.
And may I suggest that of that 10% of your time that you choose to spend with him, spend 10% of that time talking to him and 90% of that time listening to him.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's so hard to do the listening, Dwayne, when your brain's racking on.
I know.
It really is.
I know.
But that's a very good point. Okay. Well, I'll try and jump back on this market here. Let me just say, there's some things that the macroeconomic growth around the world is really starting to pick up. What happened in our stock market after the election, I think, is starting to give people even hope overseas that don't watch our media. I think they have hope, and I think that will ultimately come to pass. That we're seeing the demand start to grow in the world for energy again, in spite of all the new stuff, the alternative energy sources. Right now, growth is accelerating, mostly in the non-OPEC nations. I can't say it's really running wild over there. But as far as the surplus stocks that we've had in this country, and this is important, they've declined during the third quarter of this year to below 170 million barrels of surplus in the U.S. It started the year with 480 million barrels of surplus. That's been cut to 170 million from 480 million since the start of the year. They declined in the third quarter 40% of the amount they declined in the third quarter of 2016. So it's an accelerating thing here, and the stock surplus will be gone. It's estimated to be gone by the end of next year. By the middle of next year, by the second quarter of next year, sometime during the second quarter. We're not going to have any what might be called spare capacity. So we'll be more subject to shocks and spikes after that point. But we're still, with this kind of decline, we could see the Brent market get to $60 here even before the end of the year, and we could see our prices get to 55 on WTI. I think as it tightens, it's going to be, and what I said in my report over the weekend, and some of the guys, they're thinking the market's going to top here at $50, and a lot of people doing, but the selling hasn't really showed up yet from the producers, and we're flirting with that level right now. In fact, we're above it. So we'll see. I think everything from a fundamental standpoint is constructive, and we're entering a very vulnerable time of the year for the energy market. It usually gets in trouble towards the end of September and through the first week of October is usually when you'll see the peak. I'm not sure that's going to work this year. I'm really not. I think the dynamics are there worldwide that could support the market through this time until the heating oil market kicks in and the distillate market demand kicks up.
They raise margins on heating oil at our broker. I don't know about yours.
Oh yeah. I think you're going to see some. If we get a normal winter, we're going to have some pretty good demand on that side of the picture. And in the macro picture there's going to be demand to export products too for us if we wanted to do that. So that combined, it kind of puts a floor under the market. We had talked about every spike down to the $45 range has been a buy for a long time, and that ended up being the case again. I'm quite frankly surprised how stable it is around $50. And what I wrote in my report is, although prices may be overextended somewhat, it's premature to question the surprise upside potential of crude oil from these levels. and I wrote that when it was at $49, and I believe that. I think that we can be shocked here because the trend, in that surplus drawdown, we could reach a point where we're totally in balance before the second quarter of next year if we have a cool winter. So,
Ed, John just joined us.
A lot of it's going to be weather dependent.
John just
Hello,
joined
Ed.
the conversation.
Hey, John.
Yeah, I
So, how you doing, John?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you doing? I guess you're doing pretty well after what I heard you saying. It sounds like you've been kind of relaxing a bit after this terrible floods you had to get through and everything.
Yeah,
anyhow,
thank God we didn't buy them, but a lot of friends did. So, I've been turned into a negotiator for some people because they're still dragging their feet on getting their settlement money.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think I totally agree with everything you said about the oil, and I can say a few other things. Look, we actually went very, very bullish on the oil stocks here a few days ago, right before this liftoff. And I don't know whether you've seen the news today, but APC, Anadarko Petroleum, is going to buy back $2.5 billion worth of stock, 10% of its outstanding shares. Stock gapped up today, and it's taken Devon and Gush and ERX and all these oil stocks up with it.
Right.
And I think that's so you've got to be. I mean, look at the gasoline. We've got a very big buy on gasoline this morning at about 160, and it got down to about 59.20, but it made a massive reversal. And gasoline is, you had these multiple drawdowns. And, I guess there's so much to be made up on the gasoline that there's still probably a bit of a tight market out there. The heating oil is almost, I don't know whether people, this is very, very important. People may not realize this, but the heating oil has virtually gone to new recovery highs here since the crash. and also the natural gas had a massive move up a few days ago, but it's come back down again. We actually sold it up around the 319
natural
level.
Gas has really been what I've noticed about natural gas, John, is when the way they slam the market towards the end of the week, either down or up, and the next week comes in and it goes in the opposite direction initially. So it's trying to find a week to week same direction is almost impossible. And if you look at it, they keep fading it. Every time it looks like it's going to break out to the top, and they'll get up to the top of the trading range, they'll close it there. They'll slap it right down on Monday and Tuesday, and they'll knock everybody out who got in. It'll go down to the lower end of the range, and then it'll hold. But if it goes down predominantly for the week, it goes up the next week, and vice versa. That's the way it's been trading. That's not normal, but it's been doing it for several weeks in a row.
Yeah, I agree. It may be just coming back here to test this $3 breakout, and if just in the same way as it went down the way it broke down to 29 the other day and then shot up to 320. I mean, I don't think too many people were expecting that, and that's why you just got to have the discipline. This if we've had a run up to 320, will the pullback to 3 be enough to turn it around before the next hike? But sooner or later, it seems to me, if you take the cumulative drawdowns in natural gas over the last 3 years, it's pretty unprecedented. The summer months for the first time ever have not been able to make up for the winter drawdowns. So the market must be in balance or even getting into a deficit situation. And
I think that's right. I think there's good upside in the natural gas market for this.
Yeah, and one of these, and I think in the winter,
60 cents.
Right, and in the winter it could come as a huge surprise, because if we really, if we get the new ice age winter we're expecting, which often happens in hurricane years, or after hurricane years, you could see that natural gas in $4, $5, even $6, because it's overdue for a pretty big rally. And I think that the oil, with the stocks being so strong now, you've got to be buying the dips in all the products in the oil, and I think the day we start getting above this morning's high 50.80, sort of yesterday's highs around 51, there could be a kind of a multi-dollar run upwards in the oil. Don't forget that the king of Saudi Arabia is going to visit Putin over in Russia, I think in October. I think there was isn't there an OPEC meeting going on right now, today and tomorrow? I think there is.
I'm not sure. I'd like to say there is, but I can't tell you for sure. I should know that, but I don't.
It's all. Look,
I will say this though. Since we're talking about natural gas, this is what I wrote up last week, that the intraday counts are conflicted and continue to struggle to follow through in either direction on a week-to-week basis. So I put my support for the week in here, 288 to 297, with resistance at 306 to 314 for this week. Would expect bullish price action if prices should break and close over 318. I think that'll be the breakout. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. It's jammed up here before above 310, and they've always knocked it down the next week. Would expect bearish price action if price should break and close under 270. So those are my two limits on, you're going to have to be defensive one way or the other, depending on whether you're long or short. The monthly count ultimately favors an upside breakout, provided the 250 level is not broken first, which I don't think it will be. I don't think they're going to be able to get it down there before the winter. So the question is, when does it break out? I mean, to me, all it takes, it's not going to take much, because the trend in the storage levels is bullish. So, and we're going to go into the winter. So we'll see. You know, I think the market's undervalued right now, probably by 30 to 60 cents. But based on the inventories, but you know, we'll just have to see. The other thing on crude that we were talking about, although prices may be overbought, it's premature to question the surprise upside potential from this level. And I believe that. My support and resistance levels have been pretty good to contain the market for the last several weeks. If it's going to blow anything out, it'll blow the top out as opposed to the bottom. That's the trend, the way it's been. It's pretty much fitting pretty good. So I just want to get that in there, and that takes care of two of my markets. I'm going to have to go pretty quick. I'm going to just jump on.
Let me pull up the chat box and see if there's any questions in there for you yet. Okay, no, they're just waiting for you to go through the wave counts.
Okay. Well, here we are on crude. I mean, here's crude oil on WTI. We're in a fifth wave up right now, okay, on WTI. And within that fifth wave, I can still make the argument, well, we're in the fifth of the fifth. But from this point here, it also counts that way, that we're in the fifth of the fifth. And when I break that down, it looks a little messy. So it's running into a little selling here in the 50s. But I'm not letting that bother me, because what's taking the market up now is the Brent market. They're a lot tighter than we are in WTI. Look at Brent is $56+ right now. It's in a third wave up on its daily continuation chart, and I just showed you the crude oil.
That's the point, Ed. You know, the Brent's been creeping up without everybody realizing that this is the world oil price today. It's $56.
That's right.
And the problem is the I guess the gale, has dampened, has created a 6-point price differential between the two. Now, but as far as I remember, when you get a very big premium in global prices, it's usually pretty bullish.
Right, because that is there. Brent, we used to be the global benchmark for the world, but then they got all the production going here, and the deliveries take place in Cushing, Oklahoma, in the center of our country. And since they unseated us, Brent became more more indicative of the worldwide market. So they used to price cargoes based on WTI. They hardly do anymore. Most of it's done based on the Brent market. And Brent used to normally be under our market, but under WTI. But it hasn't been the case. It's dragging it higher because we're up at $56 in Brent right now, and we're at 50.50 here. So that's recognizing that the wave count in Brent is more indicative of where the crude oil market is and where it's going. And you can see it's in a third wave up. So it's not even close to topping out, which is why I said I think we got a shot at $60 in Brent. If something blew up in the Middle East that was significant and an ongoing supply disruption with one of the major countries, like particularly Saudi Arabia, if anything happens to Saudi's production or their production line and getting the oil out of the Persian Gulf, the market's going to respond by $10, $20, $30, and it can do that in a week. It's just the fear and the look ahead. If that ever got put in there, you're taking, 9 million barrels a day off the world market. Then you look at those surpluses and say, well, we don't have much of a cushion left after 15 days. That's nothing. These are months that we're trading. So in a month, if you pull down worldwide inventories that much, and you do pull them down, the supply is disrupted. Okay, you do pull them down, especially when they're producing near max. They don't have a lot of spare capacity over there right now, maybe 1 million to 1.5 million barrels a day. So they're not going to catch up if they lose 9 million barrels a day of production. It's going to take them a long time to catch that up. So the market's sensitive to the days in the inventory of supply as opposed to the absolutes. And that's when the supply disruptions really become disruptive to price. And I've seen this thing move like crazy when anything happens in the Middle East. So, you're right about this, John. I think it's hard to put a number on it to the upside, only to say that the momentum is up, the fundamentals are improving, and if God help us there's a supply disruption, we could have a major price spike. And no one believes that. They think we got enough oil here now to handle anything.
Yeah.
And
one of the things that we might have had a little bit of a pressure, because actually if you look at the action in the prices right now, apart from the spike in gasoline where we're sort of creeping back up again towards the spike highs, sort of following the heating oil, but the crude is sort of the weakest of the, apart from natural gas, is the weaker of the group. And maybe that, remember, they opened up the strategic oil reserve, which might have dampened that down a bit as well.
Right.
But I totally agree that, look, the one thing that I think you probably know more than me, but statistically or mathematically, it's pretty even with the cuts and everything going on. If they opened up everything, they can't get much more than about 96 million barrels a day worldwide. And the fact of the matter is demand is sort of starting to creep up to the 97, 96 and a half, 97. And if it keeps this, it's supposed to be over 100 by 2020. And then, with the depletion of a lot of wells, and and on top of that, what if one of these wells in Saudi Arabia just plain ran out of oil? That's what happened to Mexico with the Cantarell field. Mm-hmm. Used to do 3 million barrels a day, the biggest well in the world, and it's a shadow of its former self now. They have to pump nitrogen in just to get a little over 1 million barrels a day out of it. It may not even be produced.
The Mexican crude isn't much help anyway, because it's hard to get gasoline out of it. Its percentage of gasoline is much lower than most other crudes. It's a heavy crude, so the fuel and the tar in it are in excess. Mm-hmm. And you can't make a lot of gasoline out of the crude on a relative basis to most other crudes. So gasoline being 60% of the barrel, it's a big deal. That's where the demand comes in. And this is the thing about the global macroeconomic demand being up in gasoline really solid and in distillates, that even if they even if they increase crude significantly, the limit's going to be the refining capacity in the world, which has gotten stretched pretty much because of a lot of refineries have closed and had to restrict themselves to meet pollution requirements. And so the bottleneck is really refining, and no one really, it was very hard to get approval to build a new refinery in the last 8 years. So we couldn't normally expand the refining capacity like normal, the normal growth required to keep up with demand. And now we've got global demand increasing, so the exports are going to be harder to bring over here. We're going to have to pay more for those. They're being made from other crudes like Brent that are priced equivalent to Brent, and that puts more pressure on prices for products to the upside. So even if they did come up with a new field discovery, they can't produce all that oil without having somewhere to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you see there's a bottleneck there in the refining part of the loop that is bullish. Mm-hmm. It's bullish. And the turnaround seasons are normally begin in October, November, and December, because that's when they take the gasoline units down and work on them. You know, so the refining turnaround schedules becomes real important here. So even if they had more crude, the real thing is, are they going to have enough demand to create a price spike in products from here? And really, if you look at the price in products, they're relatively cheap. Just products alone. But the refiners are making a lot of money right now. They're making the money because the capacity isn't there. Okay, let me jump on this S&P here and say, you know, on the main count on the S&P, this is this third wave began when the market pulled back in 2011 here, the third wave of this leg up, when we pulled back to 1068 here in 2011, and then we started this vaunt up here in wave 3. We're right now in the fifth wave of wave 3 up, if it slows down here. Otherwise, you know, I need to go ahead and break this down for you, and we'll take a look at from this point here on. We'll go ahead and look at the weekly chart.
Just keeping that chart there for a second. I think the stocks. I think these markets are going to go parabolic. They're going to go way higher. I mean, look at the chart. Look at the chart on this. I mean, we're going into the end of the month, making new all-time highs on most of these charts. And right. You know, what happens if what if the employment numbers better for September? What if the numbers are better, you know, all around? And then you've got this. Look, if they pass this healthcare bill at the end of the month, that could be very bullish. I've already put a target of 23,000 on the Dow, and we are 600 points away right now, just about. I mean, we are running into a little bit of resistance here. I'll admit that, but the Nasdaq's kind of off a bit, but you know, that could be corrected back just as quickly as a day or two. And you know, you've got the earnings period coming up, which may be very bullish for a lot of stocks that have international business, a lot of companies, because of the dollar differential. You know, if they get better than expected earnings from overseas revenues, that could be very, very bullish. So I think this market is a classic, you know, juggernaut type market that ultimately ends with a lot of drama.
Well, you can't say we've seen a spike top yet, can you? You can't say that it's not trending up. I mean, if this isn't an uptrend, I've never seen one in my life. This slope here in the fifth wave, a lot of time within the third wave, the fifth wave isn't as steep as the third wave. Well, this is the third wave of the third wave up right here. So will this go high enough to put this thing back in the 3 on the breakdown? So when I break the countdown, I want to count what I'm considering the fifth wave of wave 3 up, which just means, by the way, When we get a correction for wave 4, which a normal minimal correction would be back to this level, and somewhere in between here would be the ideal correction for this, where the market would hold and then turn back up for wave 5. Well, the projections in wave 5, look at where right now it'll even give you a projection here for wave 3. But if we assume that this is if this pulls back here to 21 something, okay, and that ends there, look where it's projecting the 5th wave when we finally come back up here for the major wave 5, and the monthly continuation chart is up here at, you know, 44.28. I mean, those are just projections. They don't, you know, do they mean anything? No, but they mean that based on what the market's doing here, if it had a normal 4th wave correction, we're going to be over 4,000 before this thing stops. Will we go straight to 4,000? You know, it could do that if what you're saying, John, comes to pass. You know, but I'm taking it one step at a time. And I'll say this, I want to look at it from here, and I can do that on the weekly chart. So when I look at the weekly chart, I can say, yeah, I can still count this as the 5th wave. But as I start to take it apart, it becomes very questionable from a measuring rule standpoint that the software here, which isn't exactly right, because ideally I would want this low to be right at the end of my chart, so I had the 110 bars that I used to do the analytical calculations on the Elliott wave. If I could do that, I'd like to see what it would count this at. And I can't make it do that because I can't divide it into that type of increment. Any way I cut it, I can't get it. So, but this, you could make the argument that we're still in wave 3 of this thing. We went back into wave 3, and this was the move that we came off here to 1802 back in 2016, and we reviewed that many times. This is where the market looks like it's definitely debatable whether it's even done here. One thing for sure, it has not broken down. It has not broken down at all enough to make me think it's topped. I was believing that we had everything in on this 5th wave up here. It still counts as a 5th wave on the daily chart as I try and break it down. But when I break that 5th wave down and say, okay, let me go to the 400-minute chart and try and contain this from the 2019 low, I still have counting a wave 3 up here. And with a normal pullback that we could see, you know, a pullback into here, and it's not going to do any damage to this market. The market needs to break lower. I try and set up point where I'm wrong, John, because I got to know when I'm wrong. So I try to find that. As hard as it is, the people that I advise, you know, they always want to know where I change my mind, which is hard to say, you know, when you look out very far. But I can say this. I said this. I'm trying to get rid of the divergence and go back into the 3rd wave on the intraday charts. So we did make new record highs after 4 weeks of consolidation last week. I wrote this last Friday, so it's not up to date. While the monthly wave count extended its 5th wave up of wave 3 up last week, SPZ remains in wave 5 up on the intermediate intraday counts and will need to show follow through over 2520 to get rid of the divergence that makes that a 5th wave. So if we can get over 2520, the intraday counts, I believe, will walk back into the 3rd wave and still be supportive for higher numbers. And having said that, the short-term intraday counts do favor new highs this week. There are many geopolitical events, including North Korea, Congress attempting legislation, the September 19th, 20th FOMC meeting, and currency volatility, I should say at least up to the October 13th to 15th IMF meeting, where they're going to bring up the special drawing rights again. They may reweight them, and they may cause more disruption in the currency markets. And you know, the dollar has had a hard time rallying, and I wanted to cover it today, but I'm not going to have time. I do believe the dollar has not bottomed yet on this move. but it's in a wave 4 bounce on its daily chart, and it should go a little farther, maybe a, you know, 1 to 1.5 full points on the number. You know, it could get up to 94 to 94.50. That'll be an ideal place for it to bounce to and then roll over again for one more test to the lows. And if it breaks those lows,
a couple of things. One of the big things that may have been overlooked is on Monday, Trump is going to announce the outline of the tax plan, and that's a
big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
That could
That's
really
a big market move.
That could push the markets dramatically into the end of the week and into a very strong monthly close. Moreover, can you pull up the transports there and the banks? Do you have charts on them?
I don't have them built, but I can get them. I'll do that for you. I just want to say, right?
Look, the three things are happening. You know, we're as Mike pointed out earlier on, when he was doing his commentary. You know, he said he'd never had 4 losses in a row or something.
4 days.
Because and you can, you know, sympathize with him, because it's been a pretty tough market the last few days. It's been, you know, there's been things going on where we've had a very bifurcated type of market. The Nasdaq's been tanking periodically. The FANGs have been hit pretty hard. They're starting to come back right now. But the banks have taken off, and the bonds are starting to tank again, which is what one expects at the when the GDP is getting stronger, and the economy could be revving up here, and the market could go into an upside overdrive, if you like. And the other thing is the transports, which have been very subdued, have suddenly come back to life, and they are, we're at 9,700, just shy of 9,700. We hit it almost this morning. With 300 points going from 10,000 on the transports, that would be a huge deal. Getting above 10,000, it would basically project us up towards 11,000 on the transports. So, and if the transports are driving, it means the economy is getting stronger, and that's obviously very good news. So,
right, that is a good indicator. That's usually a lead indicator. The transports.
Ed, I know you're running out of time, buddy. Let's go ahead and give you a chance to cover anything else you want. You got wave counts on the S&P, or
my comments on the S&P is if it closed under 2403, it would justify starting to consider reducing core length or actively hedging with futures or inverse ETFs dependent upon the count. I'm trying to define that downside number at 2403. The 2520 should get rid of the divergence on the intraday charts. It should make them clear to start impulsing again to the upside. But ultimately, the bigger wave 4 down, which could be several hundred points in the S&P, it should be a really excellent buying opportunity if we ever see it. I mean, we will see it. The question is when. And I was thinking we should see it. We should have started to see it by now. And we're making record highs. So what's that tell me? Well, that's certainly, bullish. Everything's bullish with the stock market. The trend is up. I haven't really reduced any core length yet. Okay, I'm still hanging on. Even though I see these divergences in form, it erases them and the thing goes on to new highs. So I just want to make that point that it's very, very, it's premature to call a top in the S&P. Okay, you're not going to be able to get the top. When this thing tops, you're going to know it, and everybody else is going to know it. And that's why I tend to agree with John on that. I'm not bounded to the top at all. I'm just looking for the warning signs that maybe it's going to roll over. But I'm not betting on that any way, shape, or form. I won't allow myself to even start to short the market. And the number for right now, if it goes higher, this number will come up. But right now, I'll close under 2403, would justify me taking some action. Okay? But look, how much money have you made being long if you've been hanging on to stocks? You've made a lot of money. You can afford to give back this little bit amount. 110 points on the S&P is nothing. You're in a major uptrend, and you're going to really have a hard time reestablishing the position if it could start to go vertical. And it could. But if it does, we're probably going to see the dollar tank when that happens. If this thing goes vertical, the dollar is going to tank. I mean, the dollar may be the cause of it, but who knows? I mean, the tax issue is the most important thing to the stock market right now, John. I agree with you. That is the critical linchpin in this thing. That there also is going to be some volatility around that October 13th to 59 IMF meeting, where they could do some surprise stuff in there. I mean, they're certainly trying to not let the dollar rally no matter what. So, on gold, I was going to say this. I said that I would start increasing my long call options positions going out at least to December through March expiration, provided the 1297 level is not broken on a closing basis in gold. So, there's my initial support with key support 1297, 1390. It broke that today. And I would also say this: if it ever gets over 1385 on the top side, I'm going to be mega long. Okay, I won't let it get above that without me being in it. But I'm in it now. I've just reduced. I sold out some of my options when we were in the 1250s. I'm 1350s. So I've got a small long option position. I'm itching to add back to it, but I haven't got the indications I want to see yet to do that. So, but it's been really a good profit margin for me on that. And Dwayne, I got a lot else to say, but I don't have the time, so I wanted to cover the dollar, but I kind of said what I wanted to say there.
Well, if you have any free time tomorrow and you want to pop back in, you can.
Pardon me?
If you have any free time tomorrow and want to pop back in, you can.
Okay. Yeah.
Ed, it's always great talking with you, and your views are fantastic. We appreciate them very much. Thanks.
It don't always work, but we try, don't we?
No, you're a real blessing, buddy. Take care of yourself, and if I don't talk to you until 2 Thursdays from now, that would be.
Sounds good, Dwayne.
I'll see you in 13 sleeps. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
So, John, what else you got cooking there?
Well, a few things. The grains. I think the grains are getting ready for another leg upwards for here. They're sort of been consolidating off this liftoff. The wheat is leading the way. Corn is a little bit lethargic. Oats are soaring, which is a good sign, and I think that we might be in for some upside surprises on the grains. We've been going up basically ever since the supposedly bad news that came out, and spike bottomed the grains, and I think the lows may very well be in. And when you get a fall rally like this, it can often lead to a big bull market the following year, which kind of makes a lot of sense if you think about it. By the way, I don't know whether you got the breaking news this morning. Trump announced that the Chinese central bank has instructed all Chinese banks to stop dealing with North Korea.
Oh, no.
It's a pretty big deal.
I had not heard of that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a big win for Trump. Big win for Trump.
It is.
It's it's so hard to please the American people. You'd think with the UN and the speech and everything else, he'd be at about 50 points by now, and he was at 42 yesterday, and he's at 43 today, so he's up a little bit. But it's a very tough. He's sort of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. So it's he's still. I mean, CNN's after 2 weeks of respite covering storms, they're back at it, bashing him every day, and it's tough to take when he's doing a lot of good things behind the scenes. But this is a monumental development, really. This Chinese banks, stopping business just cold with North Korea could freak this guy out, could spook him. So.
Well, let's hope it brings him to his senses and does not push him over the edge.
I think Trump did a very good speech, but I would have, had his ear. I said this probably said this about 10 years ago on the show, maybe when we were talking about North Korea back then. You know, I used to say, when are they going to get the memo? You know, what's the matter with these guys? You know, why don't they get with the rest of the world and get with the growth trend and get out of the, you know, get out of the poverty that they were in back then? You got to give them a lot of credit to they've certainly grown a lot and got a lot stronger, but not necessarily the right way. But I think Trump could have said, look, you know, we waged a long war with Vietnam. And, you know, today, you know, a former enemy are our best friends. And, you know, the relationship between Vietnam and the U.S. today, you know, the Korean thing's been going on for 70 years. And the Vietnam thing, you know, was over 30 or 40 years ago, and we're great pals. I mean, you know, it's sort of I think if he'd said that, it might have woken up a lot of people at the UN to say, you know, that's a pretty interesting point. It's like, you know, when Trump, a lot of people, you know, when Trump made his first visit to Saudi Arabia and went to the heart of the problem, the most immediate problem we have to face, which is ISIS and all the things around that, you know, he went straight to the problem to get it solved. And he's got, you know, you would never have predicted this, you know, a few years ago, but who are our greatest allies in the UN theater today are the 15 Muslim nations, you know, that are backing Trump. And everything he said to them, yes, you know, on Monday was, or whenever he made the speech, Tuesday was basically playing to that audience. You know, that's why he went after Iran, because they, you know, they can't stand Iran, none of those nations. So, you know, it's very clever on his part, because he's got huge support there now. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you know, he's selling them hundreds of billions of dollars in weapons to the benefit of America. And, you know, just that a lot of people are underestimating a lot of the things that Trump's putting together behind the scenes, including the possible. I mean, look, did they do a deal with China to get, you know, he sort of expressed surprise and thanked them for doing it. You know, he said, oh, this one, we weren't expecting China to sort of act so quickly, even though they may have, you know, made a deal, or whether they didn't. If they didn't, then China is actually surprising the world by doing something as drastic as this. It's a pretty good development. So, but you know, he started off the speech by saying, you know, look at all the great things happening in the world. Let's keep it up. Let's build on it, and not and get rid of, you know, it's, as I said, you know, when George Bush had his second term, there were 7 dictators left in the world. Now there's 3. We got to get those. We got to get rid of those 3. The quicker we get rid of those 3, the world becomes
Who's the other 2? Who's the other 2?
Iran and Cuba.
Okay, correct.
So,
yeah,
you know,
Iran's a threat. I don't know that Cuba's, you know. I don't know.
Well, yeah, really the only menace. Well, the 2 menaces are well, maybe Venezuela as well. So, you know, the 3 that he mentioned are the 3 prominent examples right now. And, you know, listen, if Venezuela became like Colombia overnight, you know, I think that all of Latin America would rejoice. The whole world would rejoice. And if I think the world would rejoice if Cuba went democratic. And you know, I think if Iran changed its tune, and instead of shouting death to America every day and all that kind of nonsense, you know, I think the world would rejoice about that too. So, you know, there's only 3 or 4 major problems in the world, and then we got to fix the Syria issue, and the world's a whole different place than it's been in the last 10, 20 years.
Well, now, didn't Russia make a threat today that they would shoot U.S. soldiers who are backing the Syrian rebels? Was it?
Maybe they did. I don't know about that. But you know, I think Russia really wants to get on the same page with the U.S. In spite of it all. I think that you know, these kind of things where they say they're going to do this and that, nothing's happened. It's all a lot of bluster.
I certainly hope so. Yeah.
And I mean, look at China. I mean, China, you know, even though it's a sort of a dictatorship in a way, it's a benevolent dictatorship, and it's an example to the world in how to take a a country from total poverty almost to being basically one of the richest countries in the world today. And they may have done it off the US's back, but they are, it's absolutely formidable what they've accomplished. It's nothing short of astronomical, but it's all to the benefit of the world. And you have to take your hats off to the Vietnamese. Vietnam's done an unbelievable job picking itself up and prospering since the end of the Vietnam War. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's some real humanitarian issues still going on there. But I don't. Is that our problem? I mean, are we in some way morally obligated to try to step in and do something? And I'm speaking in particular of the abuse of children. There's a really, really large church here in Phoenix. They've got, I think, on Sunday mornings they seat 4,000 or 5,000, and I'm friends with the pastor and the co-pastor. And last time I had a meeting with them over coffee, they had just come back from Vietnam, and the reason they went was because of the human trafficking and the children that were being sold into prostitution at a very young age. And they went to establish some safe houses there, where if these kids could escape, they could run to these safe houses and they would, be protected. And it's according to these two pastors, it's not just an casual occurrence. There's actually like tourist trips. I mean, sickos here in the U.S. can sign up for just like you would book a trip to Greece, they book a trip to Vietnam specifically to be taken to these places where they have these children in captivity. I mean, how much more horrible can the world get? I mean, does the U.S. or any other country have a moral obligation to step in and try to fix that or change that?
They do, and a lot of them, we're doing it, but it's this is all part of this worldwide criminal network of trafficking.
I mean, I can get along with most anybody, but I would have a hard time striking a business deal, no matter how beneficial it was to me. I'd have a hard time striking a business deal with a person who I knew when the doors were closed, that's how he behaves. So, yeah, that bothers me. It really does. When young teenage girls, 17, 18, decide that's the life they want to pursue, that's one thing. It's one thing to make the choice, or even to feel forced into it because of your economic situation. Even that's another thing. But to be trapped and caged like an animal, my God, that's terrible. Anyway.
Dwayne, I just pulled up the transports.
Okay.
And believe it or not, they're on the point of making new all-time record highs. This is very, very bullish. Very, very bullish.
Well, I know that since I first met you, that the Dow Transports has been one of your leading indicators.
I mean, it looks to me like they're going to scream higher here, going to go through 10,000, maybe in a week or possibly before the end of the month. The SPXY, which is the opposite to the negatives, that's also acting very bullish. It's almost at a new all-time high. That's also incredibly bullish. And the XIV, both of them. The LABU, which is the drug, triple ETF, just made a new post-low recovery high today at 83. We actually sold it up around 83, and it's coming back a little bit at the moment. Because the drug stocks are very volatile while all this negotiation over the health plan is going on. But if they pass, if they get that health care through, I think the LABU probably hit 100 or maybe 110. So I'd be looking to buy this thing on a pullback. Actually did a bit of, I've had some very good, as I get my new system up and running, I'm sort of getting some very good ideas on making it easier for people to benefit, on this show. When I mentioned stocks in particular, we've gotten very bullish on the banks since last week. And the banks are performing unbelievably strongly right now. I mean, look at JP Morgan. I think is at an all-time high here today.
Well, when you get your system fully up and running the way you want, just as I was showing Ed's screens a few minutes ago, I can certainly, any charts that you want to show and point out when you're ready for that, we can do that. So
right. Thanks very much. Look, actually, I can tell you right now, you got FAS, which is the triple financial ETF.
Yeah, this is the Dow Jones transportation right here.
Yeah, it's at an all-time, making all-time record highs right now today. JP Morgan, all-time record highs. Wells Fargo.
Look at this chart, John. It looks like back in July, we put in a slightly higher high. Now, this chart may be lagging. This may have a 20-minute delay in it. But it's really close.
I think it's at 70, just a minute. We're at 75 right now, 75.66.
Okay,
no, you're right. You're 96.75. Yeah, that's right. You're live. You're that appears to be real time.
Okay. All right.
So
okay, what was the other one that you were just talking?
By the way, the interesting thing about the transports is they're going up without the airlines. That's kind of crazy, but the airlines got hit recently because there's a price war going on. That kind of dropped them down a bit, but the Delta actually is on a buy potentially here. UAS. A quick look at UAL.
This LABU. It looks like it's at I don't know if it's an all-time high, but it's certainly at a yearly high. No, it's definitely not an
it's making new 52-week highs, definitely.
Yep.
It's backing off a bit right now, but the next pullback, the next buy signal we get, we'll try and call it here for you. By the way, I'm on a very, very strong buy on these XIVs, on the VIXs, on the positive VIXs, and we just went to a sell on the negative VIXs. We went to a massive sell on the negative VIXs yesterday after the Fed. And the gold, unfortunately, is a bit of a casualty here in the last few days, thanks to the Fed as well. I don't know how much more we've got to go, but I think we're getting pretty close. I'm actually on a possible buy on Newmont right here, and but not on Royal Gold or GOLD just yet. And the nugs, I actually went to a buy on the dust. Did I tell you yesterday about what happened? I think I did. We put a buy stop in on the dust at I think it was 22.40 on the dust, and it got up to 25.60. We sold it up around 25, bought it back this morning, and the J dust went from 50. We had a buy stop at 50, and it went to 57. We sold that about 56, bought it back this morning about 54.5. So these dusts, when they get going, got to be very careful, because when they get this strong, they can go further. If you look at the weekly on the dust right now, listen, you just never know with these things. Once they kind of get a bottom on them, they tend to go quite a bit. Now we are on a bit of a sell from the 25.50 on the day GUST down to where we are. And if the gold was to find some respite overnight or later on, if the gold goes up tonight and the dusts break tomorrow and the nuggets rally, maybe the worst is over on the metals. So I actually believe the next rally in the metals will be a big one. Will be possibly could take us up to 1400, and maybe the silver up to 18 and a half or so. There's a very good article in a Fast Company, Fast Company, if you Google it. There's a fantastic article somebody wrote about Satya Nadella, the chief executive officer of Microsoft. It's an amazing story about how this guy got to head the company, and he's added $250 billion in market value since he took over. And he's really kind of, put Microsoft into a, cleaned up all the issues with Microsoft and made it a very lean and mean company. And right now another big mover today is Intel, which is getting a lot of it's almost at a significant new high here. I don't know, it's almost a multi-decade high coming up on Intel, highest since 2002. So Intel could really rocket out of here because they're really making some fantastic chips these days. It's kind of like, we're still following Moore's law, where the chips get, double every 18 months or 2 years or so. But there are periods in the evolution of the chips over the last 10 years where there hasn't been any progress for a year or two. We kind of flatlined, and then all of a sudden there's a breakthrough, and then the chips get stronger and better. And so when you look at, by the way, AMD, which we've been talking about with this Threadripper, AMD gave us actually a very, very big buy a few days ago, down at 12.20, 12.25, and it rocketed up to 14.25 this morning, but it's pulled back a bit. But I think the next sort of upturn in AMD would be worth buying, because when Intel's making new highs and AMD and Nvidia, all these stocks that are kind of leading the semis higher are very, look, towards the end of a cycle, AMD has a habit, if you go back and look at the chart, it's been down into single digits, into the low single digits, sort of 3 or 4 times in its generation. And it's tended to go from 4 to 40 a couple of times, and it's on another one. There was a time not so long ago where you'd be scared to buy AMD because it was so low. It looked like it was over for AMD, and then they've come roaring back, and now they've got some of the best chips in the world, and the stock has a lot of upside. So it could end up going back to 40 again. I mean, that's what's, I think this is a juggernaut bull market. There's a lot of, we're in a very innovative period in history, and there's going to be no stopping that in the next few years. As the automated driving machine comes into play the next couple of years, I think it's going to be incredibly bullish for markets. It's almost going to be like the 1920s. You had the 1920s. You had all these different car makers, coming out and starting inventing cars. I think when the automation happens, there's going to be so many people wanting it, and Google with its Waymo is really positioned to do very well. But there's a lot of lookalikes. There's about 10 or 20 people out there, or companies out there, that are gearing up for this huge new innovation surge, and it's going to be very stimulative to the economy, because people are going to be taking their cars in. You won't be taking your cars in just for service anymore. You'll be wanting an upgrade, and the cars that are coming off the production lines today are just absolutely fantastic. I mean, they're phenomenal compared to any previous generation of cars.
The fact that they can fix your car while it sits in your garage is amazing.
It is, and look, we're living in a fantastic time. I mean, the beautiful cars that do all kinds of things that we never even imagined, and and then this is all going to come. Look at the space. You know, the new plane generation.
Oh yeah, they're going to put. They say pilots are going to be put out of work here in not too many years.
Well, it probably sounds crazy right now, but you never know. But anyhow,
check this out, John. I'm using an incognito browser, Chrome, because some people don't know that Google tracks your search habits, and it feeds you what it thinks you want to find. So the only way to get a true search is to use the Chrome incognito browser. It's like taking a brand new computer out of the box, never been searched before. Emini and cryptocurrency daily news. Since I renamed the show, this is the first page of Google results, and getting something on the first page of Google, it's no small feat. But we're there in the top 3 positions, and then there's our Facebook page, and again our Facebook page with a 4-star rating, and we're on Inside Futures picks it up, and plainsequity.com is carrying us now. The bitcoinwatch.com, they're carrying the show daily on their website, and there's others too. So, you know, we're striking. Farmers Green Company is carrying our show on their website. There's our Google Plus community. You know, this is, I'm not trying to brag or pat myself on the back. I'm just saying we're in the right place at the right time. And
oh, great job. And by the way, speaking of Bitcoin, you know, we said, I think we might have said it on the show, but when it got down to the 3,000, low 3,000s, we said it would go back up to 4. It did, and it's come off again. And actually, it's in a very tricky position right here, because I would almost say if it goes down back below 3,500, it might be headed for 2,500. Whereas if it goes back above 4,000, it might be going to 5 and beyond. So it's kind of right in the middle, right here.
Here's a site that has our interview with Tyler Evans, the CTO of Bitcoin Magazine. Interesting. This is really growing exponentially. And the big news for cryptocurrencies yesterday. It's not new news, but there was a big article yesterday. Debit cards that you can tie directly to your cryptocurrency account, to your wallet, so to speak, or you can simply load your debit card using Bitcoin, Ether, a number of different alternative currencies, and it looks like a regular Visa credit card. And so if you're going, you know, to get a car or pay for lunch or get a hotel room, it's got the Visa logo, and this is one of the, and some people are probably thinking, well, it's just another piece of plastic. No. It's a way for people to, you know, buy. It's one thing to buy and invest in these alternative currencies, but this is a true story. I was sitting at my desk last night, and I was having a little conversation with God, and I was like, okay, I know that part of what I'm going to do is I'm going to help to fund the underground church in China, because this will allow me to get money there under the radar, and it can be there in seconds. But once it's there on their computer, how the heck are they going to get it out and spend it? And I have this news feed app, Telegram, and it went ding, and I leaned over to look at it. I had to put my glasses on, and it said cryptocurrency debit cards, the new big thing. And so I read that article and then started researching it. And so anybody who has, you know, Bitcoin or Ether or any of the top currencies in their digital wallet. You can, again, with some, you can link the card to your digital wallet, or you can load the card like a prepaid Visa card. And so now that people can connect the dots and go, oh, this is money that I can actually take my friend out to lunch with. I just swipe my card like any other Visa card. That's a real game changer. I mean, the ramifications of that, and the fact that
a special event
and the
on
fact
November
that
18th, 2007,
Australia, along with some other countries, but latest in the news, I think, Australia just put in a tremendous number of Bitcoin instant tellers all over the country. Let me see how many that was. Australia Bitcoin instant tellers. So I have to now get into enter into talks with some of these debit card companies and determine what it will take for, when our coin is free trading, what it will take to get on their list of coins that will work with their debit card. 3,000 Bitcoin ATMs installed in Australia. 3,000. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it works. Almost 3,000 Bitcoin teller machines will launch across Australia as part of a venture between an ATM operator and a blockchain service provider. You missed earlier. I was talking about this. I'm going to start doing a standalone podcast separate from the radio show, just 10-15 minutes a day with whatever highlights are in the news, and I'm going to call it Off the Chain. Do you get it? I guess if I got to explain it, maybe it's not that good. Let's see. Star Group has the joint venture between Star Group and Digital X will see 2,900 existing ATMs across Australia equipped with technology that will allow Bitcoin enthusiasts to buy and sell the digital currency. Okay. The machines will be two-way ATMs, meaning users can acquire Bitcoin as well as convert their holdings to Australian dollars instantly. The companies say this will solve a pain point for Bitcoin enthusiasts who generally need to wait days using existing digital currency exchanges to cash out. Yeah, this is just breakthrough stuff. And like I said, we're in the right place at the right time. And I will send you a screenshot, or we did our first transaction on the exchange last night, simply to establish price. And if all goes well, the website will be finished, and in 2 weeks, all CFRN partners will be given a week to purchase as many coins as they want to purchase, and they'll receive 3 bonus coins for every coin purchased. Week 2, everyone who listens to the radio program will be given the address and will be able to buy coins, and they'll get 2 bonus coins for every coin purchased. And then week 3, we'll do a PR telling the world that we're now trading. And for that 3rd week, anybody who purchases will get 1 bonus coin along with every coin purchased. And then week 4, it just goes to regular trading. But that one transaction last night has established our value. And again, I don't know, I can't state this strongly enough, guys. We're so used to these fiat currencies. The American dollar needs some money. Just have the Rothschilds over at the Fed print it up for us. There will never be more than 1 million CT Global coins. It's written into the smart contract. It's coded in. So we will see true supply and demand at work. And I got to tell you, I couldn't be more excited, but I'm making myself remain calm on purpose so that I can think clearly, see clearly. And I do need you as soon as possible to make those arrangements for me in Zug. Is that the name of that city?
Yeah, Zug. Yeah,
Zug.
that's where Mark Rich used to live, by the way.
Huh.
It's and because he went there, he basically created a financial, city around him, effectively.
Okay.
It kind of, when he went there, everybody, a lot of the financial community moved to that area, so has quite a history.
Now, so the audience understands, this is not in any way an attempt to evade any kind of laws or regulations. It's simply for the same reason that Google, I believe, is registered in Delaware, and I think Apple is also. Zug is friendly to digital currencies, and it solves a lot of issues. And so we planned any profits that are made, all taxes will be paid. I mean, we're doing this thing in the light of day, the bright light of day, noon, not in the shadows, not in darkness. We want everything to be, every I dotted, every T crossed. I'm sure I'll have the website done in the 2-week time frame I've laid out, but I need to get that other side handled. Hopefully we can get that done in 2 weeks as well.
Well, just to wrap up, the markets are actually, the LABU's come off from 83 down to 80. It's come down pretty fast, and meaning that a lot of these pharmaceuticals are actually selling off. I'm bothered by Amazon. In fact, ever since, I kind of put some comments out on Amazon. I thought it was a disgrace that they were messing around with Hillary's books ratings, taking the 1-star ratings off. Ever since then, the stock's been going down, and it serves them right. For fooling around with things like that, they've probably lost several $1 billion in market cap. They got up to 995, and right now they're at 970. So I hope that's a lesson to Bezos, not to be, to be a little bit more. The whole thing is so rotten. This Washington Post, the way they just can't say a good word for Trump, and the same with the New York Times.
Well, the people who've been loyal to Whole Foods for so many years, they're complaining that it doesn't feel like the same place. The signage has changed. It's just got a whole, it was for the aging hippie set who were into organic foods. They're allowing products in that Whole Foods would have never allowed in. And they say the thing that really stands out the most is the fact that you can buy the Amazon Echo there. Never before in Whole Foods could you buy anything but, food and beverages. And now here's this electronic device, but, it's because Bezos wants them to go home and order stuff from Amazon. And have they decided on where their new headquarters are going to be? A lot of cities are fighting for it and offering incredible, tax breaks and incentives. They're going to their new facility, I think, it's going to be as large as the one in Seattle. I have a distribution center about 5 miles from my house. I ordered a computer part on a Saturday night just before midnight. When I got home from church Sunday at noon, it was there by the front door.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, we're part of the Prime, so we get free shipping on just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was notified that our case of toilet paper is almost gone. And people on the show remember 2 years ago me laughing about pretty soon I'll be ordering my toilet paper from them. And we do. You get 96 rolls to the case, and it's the good stuff. And it's a better price than Walmart, and I don't pay any shipping. And once we get it charted out, we can put it on auto order so we don't even have to order it. You know, 4 people in the house, you know, unless somebody's bathroom habits change, we will go through roughly the same amount of rolls on a regular basis, and so the machine will just ship it.
There are some, you know, in spite of the positive things we were saying earlier on, there's some troubling things going on in the market right now.
And what's that?
You know, Apple is one of them. It's making new weekly lows right now. It's actually making a monthly reversal potentially, which is rather ominous. I think Amazon is in the same boat. So, you know, unless there's a big reprieve here next week, it could put a bit of a damper on the end of the month. So, and right now the Nasdaq's selling off again, and Nvidia is leading the way.
Nasdaq, that's one we've not looked at yet today. Okay, NQ. Now, these are hourly candles. This is from a mentoring session yesterday, guys. But last night, the email said on the Nasdaq to consider selling 59.40. Okay, we were being pretty cautious on that one. Oh, probably because of this low here. But anyway,
I mean, if we break down, if we sort of start taking out today's lows on the Nasdaq, it's going to be very bad. And the VIXs are starting to go up now, so you know, there's a bit of a sneaky development going on here. This is fairly unusual, but you know, sometimes when you get a rally in the VIX, like the UV up to 2430, comes back down 2240, in a sneaky sort of a way, can go up and take out that 2430. If it does that, you better make sure you're out of all stocks, because I think we'll be in for some fireworks. So you know, that's what you've got to be careful when you get these markets where different things start leading. And I mean, obviously the transports leading is a good thing, the banks leading is a good thing, but the Nasdaq going down is not a good thing, because and neither are the FANGs, and neither is Apple making new lows or Amazon making new lows, for that matter. It is a sign that there's, you know, shifts going on in the market, and often this happens to sort of throw you off. You know, you get things making new highs to kind of mask what's really going on behind the scenes.
Now, guys, you always hear me talk about the fact that the markets are fractal in nature. And, you know, the best way to try to explain that is whatever happens on a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a range chart, a volume chart, you'll see the same activity. In fact, I just told you this was an hourly chart. Now, if I were to, and I've gone to the trouble of doing it on a couple of occasions, but if I were to block this so that you could not see it, and if I blocked the prices so that you could not see them, looking at this chart, you would have no way of knowing if it was a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a volume chart, a daily chart, a monthly chart, a weekly. There's no way you could tell if you didn't have the price reference and the date and time reference down here. That's what I mean by the markets are fractal in nature. Now, our indicator set, you typically see it used in the live training room every morning for 2 hours on a range chart. We use a range chart because it creates this beautiful symmetry. Every candle is exactly 4 ticks tall. Now, you've heard me say that you can use our indicator set and our methodology and strategy any market, any time frame. And here's the NQ hourly, you know, bearing that out. Bearish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back, down close, sell the open of the next candle. Pull back again, sell it. Pull back again, sell it. It's the same repetitive thing again and again and again. The idea is to make your trading boring, like working in a factory, grinding out widgets. You don't wake up with a knot in your stomach. You don't wonder if today's the day I'm going to blow up my business. You just come, you sit down at your chair, and when you reach your daily goal, you go out and you do life. Okay? God didn't create you to stare at these screens all day long, although some of us have painted ourselves into a corner, and that's what we end up doing. I'm telling you, if you're a partner or if you've been on the trial and you're thinking about becoming a partner, we're going to teach you how to get up, get your goal for the day, and get on with life. Okay? So, anything else you want to add today, John?
No, listen, thanks. It's been a great session. I really enjoyed talking with Ed earlier on and yourself. And
yeah, I wish he could make it once a week, but he's got a really busy schedule.
Yep. Okay, doke. Thanks very much.
All right, my
friend.
friend.
All the best.
Take care. I
Bye-bye.
think maybe Garrett might join us tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Okay, so that covered the NQ, guys. Soybeans. The email last night said to consider selling 966. We had a 3-point drop. That is equivalent to a 3-point move in the S&P, which is what we got, a 3.5-point move in the S&P. The Dow, a 19-point move, important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Back above the trigger, drop 28 points. So that's the S&P. And the S&P looks like it wants to come back through that trigger again. The Dow, the soybeans. Okay. Crude oil. Oh, let me drag out the email from last night. So anybody that wants to snap a picture, right up at the top of the GoToWebinar app is a thing that looks like a camera. It is. Click it and it'll save a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF, something. It'll save some kind of picture to your desktop. Okay? All right. Now, on crude oil, we said to consider selling 50.65. We had a drop of 58 ticks, $10 a tick, $580 per contract available. Now, we never get out at the swing high or swing low because we trail our stop. And when you trail your stop, you're always going to leave a little something on the table. Okay? Important prices, important areas. Get back above the trigger. This time, unfortunately, we only dropped to... Oh, I miscounted that. That's 65 down to the low is 37. So 35 to 65 would be 30, so that's 28, not 8. Or $280 per contract available. Okay. Now remember, you get 8 markets every night. You get 2 trades per market. Okay. So as soon as you open the email, you're staring at 16 potential trade opportunities. Now, because most of the markets will, or at least, a good percentage of them will do this very thing. They'll trigger, and they'll trigger again. And see how it's getting back above the trigger? It may trigger again. All right? So on any given day, you should see between 20 and 50 trading opportunities. And what you want to do is you don't just try to trade every one of them. You wait for the ones that provide you with the lowest risk, greatest profit potential. Okay? You can be very picky, very choosy, because you've got all these opportunities. You're just waiting for the market to line up. Now, when I identify these important prices and important areas the night before, I have no way of knowing what the market structure will be when it actually triggers tomorrow. For instance, when we triggered right here, I had no way of knowing if the most recent swing high was going to be right here or up here. See? If it's up here, you just pass and wait for a better opportunity. Over here on the first trigger, my goodness, you had practically no risk at all. This one had a little bit more risk. Now, with discretionary trading, it's not the rules-based trading we do in the live training room every day. Those rules are carved in stone. You do everything for a reason, and you never deviate from the rule set. Okay? When you open a trade, it's always an 8-tick hard stop. Once you have 4 ticks profit, you always move your stop to break even. I mean, every rule, whether you're in Brooklyn or Bangladesh, you're going to enter at the same price, you're going to exit at the same price, you're going to move your stop at the same time. It's like going to if you go to McDonald's in Georgia, New York, or Phoenix, that Big Mac is supposed to taste exactly the same. Why? Same ingredients, same formula, same cook time, everything. And that may sound a little homogeneous and not very exciting, but if you need an adrenaline rush, okay, go out to whatever local airfield you have and take a class and go jump out of an airplane every weekend. I have a friend, used to be my stockbroker. He does that every Saturday. That's how he releases his stress and his tension. He was a paratrooper in the Marine Corps, and every Saturday he goes out and jumps out of a perfectly good airplane. And he has one of those GoPro cams on his helmet, and so I've actually watched videos of him free falling. Yeah. So anyway, get your excitement somewhere else, not in the markets. Work towards your trading becoming boring. Okay. So, with so many opportunities in the course of a day, based on the email that I send you, I don't care what market it is, other than I prefer you stay away from bonds. When the trade presents itself, when you're approaching the trigger, you look at that chart and you figure out where you have to put your stop based on the training videos and based on the private mentoring that I do with you. Okay, you have access to unlimited one-on-one private mentoring as needed. Probably the most difficult thing to learn is how to walk away from a trigger. Okay, because if you don't walk away, it's probably going to end up being a stop out. All right. We don't like to risk more than $300 on any, that's per contract, on any one trade on the Concierge Trade Alerts. There will be those rare occasions, and we looked at one the other day in crude. It was a beautiful setup, but I think it required about $340 of risk. You know, if you're just getting started, I would say you probably should pass. If you really know how to read a chart, then it's up to you. Okay, it was a very handsome trade, to say the least. So I hope that helps some of you. If you've never taken the Concierge trial, if you go to emini.cfrn.net, emini.cfrn.net, okay, it will take you here. You couldn't remember all that. That's why I created that link that automatically forwards you to our Google Plus blog. Now, on this blog, you will find every radio show for the last, I think we're probably up to 3 years now. You'll find webinars, seminars, you'll find Q&A sessions, you'll find teaching videos, charts, articles. There is more, I don't think anyone makes more educational products available to the general public for free than we do. Thousands of hours of video, articles, techniques, charts, explanations, answers to questions. Please excuse me for one moment. Now, pinned to the top of this page, right here, to go straight to the $1 for 5 days trial, click here. There's no automatic rollover, okay? In the beginning, we gave you 5-day trial, then we gave you 2 days to think it over, and then if you wanted to roll into a quarterly subscription, you could. You didn't have to lift a finger. We were very explicit when you signed up was that if you don't want to continue, then after your 5 days you need to cancel. Well, I know how it is. People forget to cancel. So we changed it so that no longer does it automatically roll over. At the end of the 5 days, it just stops. You then have to contact us and say, that was sweet, and I want to get a quarterly subscription or an annual subscription. We got something really special going on right now, so if you're interested, you can talk to Michael about that. But this is how you take the trial, all right? Also, once you click this and sign up, do me a favor. Send me an email, support@cfrn.net, and in the subject line, put, I'm on the Trade Alert trial. That way, I'm sure to see it, and I'm sure to add you to the list so that when the alerts go out tonight or whatever day you sign up, you'll get the alerts. Now, it says 5 days. Do I have to start on a Monday? That's probably the most frequently asked question. No. You can start on a Friday. You'll still get the alerts for 5 trading days. When you sign up, you'll also be emailed. Once you send me that email with that in the subject line, I'm on the 5-day trial, I'll send you 2 training videos. I want you to watch those. I want you to watch the markets and the alerts for 2 days. I want you to trade only in Sim. And then about the 3rd day, you should book a free one-on-one mentoring session with me, because you have been exposed to enough at that point that you should have a laundry list of really good questions, okay? And we'll spend 45 minutes addressing all of your questions. I'll point out a couple of other things, and then you'll still have another 2 to 3 days of the trial. I still want you to stay in Sim. No matter what guru, method, crystal ball, newsletter, it doesn't matter what, you always, I don't care if it's futures or stocks or options, you always trade in Sim until you become consistently profitable. Now, is that a guarantee that you're going to be profitable when you go live? No, because people get the nerves, they get the jitters, they change their behavior. So that becomes a process in and of itself. A lot of people who are now successful traders had to go from Sim to live, back to Sim, back to live, back to Sim, back to a number of times. It's not a walk of shame. It's a smart business decision. It's what keeps you in the business. It's what prevents you from blowing up your account. Okay? And each time that you step back into Sim, we'll do a mentoring session. We'll troubleshoot every trade you took, as long as you've journaled every trade, and you're taught to do that. We'll have a private, just you and I, go-to meeting. We will be able to talk to one another. We won't have to type messages in the chat box. And some of the trades you will have, aired, and others will be, hey, best trader on his best day is profitable 7 out of 10 trades. That's when he's doing everything right. Okay? And so if you try to achieve better results than the best trader, on the planet, on the blue marble, you're going to be frustrated and disappointed and angry, and you're going to start looking for somebody or something to blame. This is a business based on probabilities, okay? The odds are what they are, and the sooner you accept that work with that, be comfortable with that, know that that's how it works, then when you get stopped out, it's not a surprise. It doesn't rattle your teeth. It doesn't feel like a mule kicked you in the belly. It's simply a business based on probabilities. And if you're going to be in a business based on probabilities, if you're going to build your trading firm on probabilities, then you have to learn to think in probabilities. When you enter a trade, should your expectation be that it's going to be profitable? Should your expectation be that you're going to get stopped out? The right answer is neither. You should have no expectation. You followed the rule set. You did everything exactly as you were taught to do it. Now, the trade is going to work out however it works out. And it doesn't matter how many hours you spend staring at the charts or how many other indicators and oscillators and whatnots that you have. You're not going to do better than 7 out of 10. Okay? All you need is a definable edge and the discipline to use it every time the opportunity, as identified by the edge, presents itself. You don't jump the gun, you don't hesitate. You're not a ball of nerves. You're just that guy at the assembly line, making the widgets, making the donuts, whatever, however you want to look at it, however you want to see it. You must have a carefree state of mind. If this trade gets stopped out, it's not an issue because that's the truth about trading. If you're an Avon lady and you go out knocking on doors, a certain number of people are going to slam the door in your face rudely. They teach you that in Avon boot camp. How do I know? Because my mother was an Avon lady. She learned to knock on doors at the Baptist church. Every Thursday night they'd go out, people open the door. Hi, if you die tonight, do you know if you're going to heaven or hell? I'm like, Mom, how can you do that? She goes, because I love the Lord and I love people. I want to see them all go to heaven. I said, okay, Mom. Well, that lasted a couple years. And she drifted, or she backslid, as some religious folks might say. And she got a job at Avon just as a door knocker and quickly rose through the ranks. And pretty soon she was like a district manager, and she had all these door knockers working for her. And she would teach them out and train them, take them out, teach them, train them, show them how to not be afraid. And she would teach them to expect the rude people, to just not expect it, but to know that it was part of the business. If you want to become a successful Avon person and someday be a district supervisor like myself, well, you have to understand that you're going to get a percentage of warm receptions, lukewarm receptions, and they're going to mutter something under their breath and slam the door on you. You cannot let it get you down. If you do, that next house where you knock on the door, that one was just thinking this morning how she needed to get some more Avon stuff. But because you show up at her door all depressed and mealy-mouthed, she's like, I think I'm going to switch to Mary Kay. The last Mary Kay lady here was very happy and positive and upbeat. People are drawn and attracted to happy, positive, and upbeat. I have a friend who also has a training education business, and he has a discussion forum, as we had for the longest time, but nobody ever used it. So I think it's still there somewhere. But anyway, on the new site for the
CT Global Coin, there will be, what I'm hoping, a very active discussion board there. It'll be open 24/7. And hopefully people won't make the mistake they made on the last Christian Traders discussion board, because it was one of the, it was the largest Christian trading community, because there really wasn't any others. Well, there's that one guy, but anyway, to go to your website and see 1,000 people on there at one time, you know, chatting with each other and writing articles and talking about stuff, it's pretty fulfilling. But as I said earlier in the show, I pulled the plug. Hopefully this time people, you know, there will be rules and you will agree to the terms of service. And if you don't abide by them, you will be terminated. So hopefully everybody will just enjoy having a place that they can go and talk and chat and catch up on the news. You know, kind of like in the old days when you talk to your neighbor over the back fence, right? So, same thing is true of the Concierge Trade Alerts. You wait for the low risk, high probability opportunity. Yet, you understand, not just with your head, but with your heart, that just because it looks really good going in, you don't know what the outcome will be. So if the outcome is tremendous, don't be Fred Astaire dancing on your desktop, because if you allow yourself to be that guy, when it doesn't go your way, you'll also be the guy who curls up under his desk in a fetal position. Okay? And I've had both phone calls from the same guy in the same week many times over. So if you ever call me to tell me how great you're doing, I don't ever want to rain on your parade. I want to compliment you. I want to encourage you. But you can bet your bottom dollar, unless you hang up before I have a chance to say it, while your endorphins are flowing, I'm going to remind you that not every trade or every day's trades or week's trades or month's trades are going to have the same results. It's a little easier to take the blow when you're riding on the peak cloud of a string of successful trades. So that when the pendulum does swing the other way, instead of crawling under your desk, you go, oh, I see what he was talking about. Oh, well, that's what he said, and here it is. Okay. You just turn back to your charts and next. And if you have the alerts, of course, like I said, 8 markets, 2 trades per market, you're just kind of scanning to see if any of them are approaching a trigger. You know? So as you scan them, you'll know, okay, I need to keep an eye on the S&P and crude, because they're getting pretty close to a trigger point. If on the 30-minute chart, where the chart tells you to put your stop, if that's too much risk, go to the 5-minute chart, and if that doesn't give it to you, drop down to the range chart that we use in the live training room every day. I think I walked through that yesterday. It was either on the show or in a mentoring session, where on the 30-minute, no trade, on the 5-minute, no trade, but on the 4-tick range, we were able to put the stop loss over the most recent swing high, and it resulted in very little risk on the trade and some pretty decent follow through. Okay. Not only does the chart tell you where to put your stop, it can also tell you what your reasonable expectation is for a profit. Okay. Now, there's a number of factors that can come into play. As far as profits go, we can look at Fibonacci extensions together. I can teach you how to use those. If it happens to be a market where we issue weekly trading zones for, you should, incorporate that as well. But those are the kind of things that we'll cover in your mentoring session. So your 5-day pleasure trip, again, you can start any day. It's going to cost you $1. Got to sign up, but you won't roll over into a subscription and your card or PayPal account's been dinged. It won't happen. It's $1 for 5 days. Then you have to contact us and say, hey, that guy in the afternoon on the radio, he said you had some really hot deal cooking on the Concierge Trade Alerts. I just finished with the 5-day trial and I'm anxious to continue. What's your best deal? And Michael will tell you all about it. 949-423-6464. 949-42-EMINI. Or you can email us support@cfrn.net. Only use this link. There are some other links floating around in cyberspace, even maybe on our website, that do put you into the rollover. Okay, so emini.cfrn.net. Baseball guy, this is pinned to the top of the page. It'll always be in the same spot. Okay, click that link and then email me that you're on the trial so I can get your name on the list. Okay. Okay. Now, what market have we not covered? We've covered crude. Okay, see how we got back above the trigger here? Okay. So, if you're going to participate in this trade, your risk is going to be like right there. Okay. And then it triggers. And where's your reasonable expectation of profit right here? I would say at the zone. Okay, so if you're going to get it 65, 45, it's 20 points, it's $200 per contract. Okay. If it now you can trail your stop, and if you take out this low, well then your next reasonable expectation would be right before we hit that low right there. Because you see how when price came down it was rejected. So there's a bevy of buyers in this area right here. And while they apparently don't want to pay these prices, they have certainly shown their willingness to pay these prices. Thus, we've created a range. Okay? So again, first target objective would be the zone. And if you're trailing, I mean, you could just take your profit right there. $200 per contract. That's what you want to do. Or trail your stop, see if you can take out that low, and your next target objective becomes right here. Well, what if it flies through there? Well, then the next zone. Now, quite frankly, I don't know if these are this week's zones or last week's. 10, 15, 40, 45. 40, 45, and then it's supposed to be 75, 80. Yeah. And so if you took out this area, then that would be, if you're trailing your stop and this thing's cooking to the downside, at some point it's going to do a pullback, leg, retrace, and you're going to get taken out by the market. That's trading. Welcome to my world. Okay, what else we got? the long side on beans never triggered. It was to consider buying 976 if you had the opportunity, and the opportunity did not present itself. Alan says, I'm just checking the chat box here. Oh, and I meant to share with John your comment, Pete. Pete had said earlier, but Iran has mullahs, not dictators per se, and they believe they are answering to a higher being, whereas dictators do what they do for themselves. I think that was well said, well put. Okay, Alan asks, can you explain the price movement of the cryptocurrency? How is it controlled? Is there a fee to purchase, etc.? Is it on an exchange? Yes, it is on an exchange. There are a number of exchanges, okay? And the price can vary slightly. It's usually only slightly in most cases, from exchange to exchange. So that's something that you just have to take into consideration. What does it cost to place a trade? I don't know where they came up with this term, but in the cryptocurrency world, it's called gas, G-A-S. That's the cost of making a transaction. The transaction that was made last night for 100 coins cost 12 cents. The gas required for that transaction was the equivalent of 12 copper pennies. And different exchanges have different rates, different fees. Coinbase is a it's probably one of the bigger, most well-known exchanges, but I think Coinbase only does Bitcoin and Ethereum, or Ether. Now, I like Ethereum because banks, financial institutions seem to favor it. It has some it was created by this like 18-year-old Russian whiz kid, but it has benefits that are not in Bitcoin, okay? So it's kind of like the Sony or the VHS Betamax thing. I think they'll both survive. I really do. But over the long haul, Ethereum has a utilitarian use other than just the value of the cryptocurrency itself. I don't know that I want to use the comparison of silver to gold, in that they're both precious metals, but most of the gold ever mined is still in existence, while silver, because there are uses for silver, much of the silver that has been mined is no longer in existence. Now, where that analogy doesn't really work is just because Ethereum is used more and more and more, it's not going to use it up. If anything, it makes it stronger. So that's really probably a great starting point for anyone who's doing their own study and due diligence. You know, just Google what's the difference between Bitcoin and Ether, E-T-H-E-R. That's the short name for Ethereum. And you'll find numerous articles, okay? Some will be very complicated and highly technical. Hopefully you can find one that is plain English. And I say this to any of you. If you find any articles having anything to do with cryptocurrencies that is written in easy to understand language, I'd very much appreciate if you would forward me a link to that article or to that website. Because the educational center that I'm building on the new website, I've told you that's what I want it to be. I want it to be something that the average ordinary person can understand, not only how it works. You know, I don't want to get too technical, you know, like the carburetor and the manifold on the engine. Remember, I can just barely put gas in it and drive it, but I could get in it right now and go to the East Coast and have no problem. So the in-depth explanation will be there in the white paper for those that want that. But for those who just want to know how to get in a car and drive, you know, those instructions will be there too. And those will most certainly be in a language that anyone with a 5th grade, you know, education should be able to read and understand. Now, we will not be an exchange ourselves, although there are some opportunities for us to put an exchange on our website. But I don't think I want to go in that direction. I don't think I want that additional work and responsibility. Yeah. So if you Google top 10 cryptocurrency exchanges, all kinds of people out there have done all kinds of reviews, and so that will help you pick the one that feels right for you. Okay? In order to purchase the CT Global coin, you will need to have a wallet, and you will need to have some Ether. Okay? The CT Global coin is built on the Ether blockchain, and you will use US dollars to get some Ether in your wallet, and then you will use the Ether in your wallet to purchase the CT Global coin. I know it sounds, you know, kind of complicated and like, well, there's a lot of steps there, but once you get the flow of it, it's really, it's just clicking the mouse, you know, clicking the mouse. All right. Hope that answered your question, Al. Fred says, is the video you made showing you trading the CT Global coin last night available online to see? No. But I'm trying to, I sent it to Michael. He said he got it. If I can get it off of my phone onto my computer, I mean, where we place the trade, I mean, that video is like 15 seconds. And then the video where I'm, I go to Etherscan and I'm watching the transaction work its way through the system. That's about 15 seconds. And then at the very end, there's a third 15-second video which shows the verified transaction completed in the CT Global account. So, yeah, I'll try to get those up so you can see them. I just got to say, it's kind of anticlimactic. It's not much to see. If you've ever bought a stock using Scottrade or Ameritrade or any of those, it's kind of the same thing. Yes, you're right, Fred. Coinbase also does Litecoin. That's right. The three biggest, I think, well, Bitcoin definitely is number 1, Ethereum's number 2, and Litecoin's number 3, and number 4, originally created as a joke, Dogecoin, D-O-G-E, somehow caught on. I think that's number 4. No, but don't hold me to it. I don't think we've mentioned that tonight is Thursday night, 9 p.m. Partners. We hope to see you all in the Partners Workshop. I'll do my very best to get Michael there early so that we can start as close to 9 o'clock as possible. I really will work hard toward that, okay? What else am I going to tell you? Oh, if you've been on the trial, you should have gotten an email from Michael telling you what it takes to become a partner. Now, there is a special added incentive in this week's offer. Okay? I don't know if you like to travel and stay in nice places or anything like that, but if you're on the trial, you should have got an email, and it should have had that special offer in there. If you're on the trial and you didn't get the email for whatever reason, we're sorry that we slighted you. Send an email to support@cfrn.net or call 949-423-6464. If you get voicemail, don't hang up, please. Just leave a message. This is Tom Thumb. I've been on the trial, and I did not get the email that tells me how to become a partner. We will fire it out. When you call that number, if Michael's on the phone, he and I both get an email with a transcript and a voice recording of the message that you left. So one of us is going to jump on it like straight away. But if you hang up, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. And because we're constantly on the phone, chances are when you call back in 10 minutes, you're going to catch voicemail again. Okay? So save yourself the aggravation. Leave a voicemail and we'll do the rest. Okay. I think I just know there's some market we haven't covered yet. Oh, the Russell. Let's go look at the Russell. We haven't covered gold either. Russell. That doesn't look so great. Russell, consider selling 1444. Okay. Back when it was $100 a point. But it's not. I was hoping the CME was going to change that. And maybe they will. Okay, 1444. We got down to a swing low of 1441.90, so we'll call it 42. So that's 2 points of $50 per point. So that's $100 per contract available. And to anyone that's on the trial, in case you didn't catch this part, the $100 per contract daily goal, that's gross. $100 gross, not net. Okay. On the long side of the Russell, we said to consider buying 1449 if you were given the opportunity. And hopefully you had your goal for the day before we got to 49. $49. And the swing high, $49.80. That was $40 per contract. Okay, now here's an example. I don't know, because this only pays $50. $40 per contract available. Okay, 30-minute chart is what we're working on right here. So on this trigger, where would your stop go? Down here. About 1441. Okay, so 1441 to 1449, that's 8 points at $50 per point. That's $400 risk. Now again, we don't like to risk more than maximum $300 per contract, but there may be times when you choose to risk a little more because the risk reward scenario looks so good. Okay, now on this short trade, all right, Where would your stop go? Well, above the most recent swing high. So, I mean, you don't want to be right on top of it. You need to be a couple ticks above it. So, let's see, the swing high here is 47.50. So 5 ticks higher would be 48. It still seems awful close, but we'll work with 48 for the moment. All right. So you're going to put a stop at 48. The trigger is down at 44. Okay. So that's 4 points at $50 per point. So that's a $200 risk. Right? Okay. Now, what is our reasonable expectation of a target if we trigger at 1444? Our reasonable expectation of a target is this area right here. Okay. So while the risk side of the trade was okay, the profit potential, we can see that it really did, you know, what it could do. I mean, so we know going into this trade that we're risking $200 with the potential of only making $100. So even though the risk side was satisfactory, the profit side created an issue. And so this is a trade I would walk away from. Okay? As you learn this technique, you're going to see an awful lot of trades. At first you're going to like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with all these trading opportunities. Yeah, well, you're gonna learn how to weed them out really quick. Okay. Now, let's say that this swing low, this swing low right here. Let's say that that thing had been way down here at 36. Okay. If we had a reasonable expectation to think that it could go to 36, as we had a reasonable expectation to think that it could go here, which it did, it turned right around, well, then that changes things, because then we would be risking 1444, 36, so that's $400 potential profit for $200 risk. Now, just because that's your potential profit target, does that automatically mean it's going to go there? No. There are very few certainties in trading, all right? But again, we're dealing with a business based on probabilities. And so as price is coming down towards your $400 price target, you're trailing it, you're trailing it, you're trailing it. At some point, it may spin on its heels, come back, nip you, take you out of the trade with whatever profit you have, and then continue along its merry way to the target. The other way of doing it is if you trade multiple contracts. The method that Mark Douglas, my dearly departed friend, preferred was you start selling, say you start out with 3 contracts, you know. You go so far and you sell 1. You leave your stop in the same place. But as you're moving down, you sell 1, and then you move a little further, you sell the second one, and then when you hit your target objective, you either sell the third, or you then grab your stop and drag it real close to that profit target. Okay? And price will either come back, take you out, or it will break through that area and you'll continue to trail. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Try to make it as simple as I could. And I know that sometimes I over-explain. That and Tourette's are really the only thing that caused me. No. Oh, me. Okay, let's get rid of the fibs. What market is this? Oh, we already did crude, so we don't need that. Okay, we've done the S&P, we've done the Dow, soybeans, bonds. Yeah, 21 ticks to the upside. Now that's 21 times 31.25 per tick. So, you know, $600 per contract available. However, just because this went well, I don't want to encourage you to trade bonds. Okay? If you learned them on somebody else's watch and you're comfortable trading them, then that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I just think there are better markets to trade, especially for those who are just getting started. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Covered crude. Why do I have two bond charts? I don't know, but we already covered it. Okay. The Russell we just covered. Gold. Gold's the only one we haven't covered. So let's cover it and get the heck out of here. On gold, we said last night in the email, if you get the chance, sell 1308. 1308. Now, this was yesterday, sell 1312, which triggered in the 2 to 230 candle. In the something's not right. I think I messed up on the gold last night. I did. GGCZ. Okay. I'm sorry. Here, let me show you. I'm just tired. Last night, we said to consider selling 1297. I was reading the wrong side of the trade. 1297. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if it makes a lot of profit, but it makes a lot of sense. 1297. Oh, goodness. That's really down there. I was sure being conservative on that. 1297. Okay. Close enough, I guess. Yeah. Aha. We finally did it. Almost. 1297. Sell 1297. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. 1297, and it doesn't move very far. Okay, now most recent swing high was right here, and so to be a little above that, 1304.70. 1304 is the exact high of the swing high. 1304.20. Now, so if you go with 1305, from 97 to 05, that's $800 of risk. Well, we got to pass on that, don't we? Okay, so we don't take that trade based on a 30-minute time frame. What's the high here? High here is 1301.70. If you put your stop at 1302, 97 to 02, that would be $500 risk. Well, that's not very palatable either. Okay. What's the swing high here? 98.30. Okay. So if you put your stop at 12.99, that would be $200 of risk. And so far it's dropped to 12.93.30. So at 12.94 that would be 300. So $370 per contract available, and you risked $200. Okay, you passed on this one, you passed on this one. If you wanted to, you took this one because it was low risk and there was enough room to run that you could have a minimum 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. Okay, don't ever let anybody talk you into risking more than the potential target. There's a number of trading rooms and educators out there who do stuff like they risk, 7 points on the S&P to make 2. And you can have a string of profitable trades doing that, but it only takes, a couple of full stop outs in a row to do some heavy duty damage. So I don't care what they tell you, or how they paint the picture. It's bad science. It's bad math. It's not new math. It's bad math. Don't do it. 1-to-1 is the minimum you should ever accept. Now, what was our reasonable expectation? Okay, our reasonable expectation for profit would be here. Did we get it? Not yet. Okay. Why might it turn here? Well, as price dropped, okay, you got a leg and a retracement. So you know there's sellers. There's a layer of sellers here, a layer of sellers here. You have buyers who are willing to buy at this level. Okay. And there again, evidence. So, I mean, this is a pretty tight little skirmish. Okay. Foxhole to foxhole. Sellers, buyers. Okay. Now, could this be the market finding some kind of a bottom? Could be. All right. And is it unreasonable to think that a buyer who is looking for a place to get long knows that as the market falls a second time into this area, that buyers are going to hit the ask? Yes. So what might they do? Rather than waiting for price, to get down into this area or even spike below it, because they're confident, for whatever their own reasons are at the moment, that the market is going to rally up out of here. What they don't want to do is miss the opportunity to get long, okay? Because the farther price moves up and away from this area, the greater the risk on the trade. Why? Because the chart is always going to tell you to put your stop loss right below the most recent swing low. I don't care what the guru says, the crystal ball, the newsletter. The chart is where you should get your marching orders. Okay? So, now, if price did dip all the way down to, say, the bottom of this little box, that'd be awesome, because then you would really have very little risk on the trade. Right now, you've got from here to here if you're going to go long. Okay? So, is it possible some buyers stepped in here because they didn't want to miss out? Because they think, well, let me just show you. From the swing high to the swing low, getting long in this area means, oh, let's say they got long, all right, where we're at, 94.30. Well, there's 97. There's 1302. There's 1305. 1300 is a pretty big, I'm afraid, psychological barrier at this point. So, see these bottoms across here? That's all about the 1300. Support, support, resistance. Okay? So, we have to believe that as price approaches 1300, it's going to be resistance until it's not. Until we can get above it and hold it on a pullback. Okay? And start to move higher. So if we're going to get in right here, or we wanted to be the early buyer, we didn't want to miss out. So let's say, see the swing low here is 93.50. So let's say we got in at 94. Okay? We got filled long at 94. That's a potential $600 move up. Okay? Well, what's our risk? If we got in at 94 and we put our stop here, that's like $380 worth of risk. So now you got to ask yourself, do you really want to take that trade? Now, another way of looking at it is, if this is where the market turns and makes its run for 1300, then your stop, instead of being down here, could be here. Now, you've got a trade from we said we're going to get at 1904 up to 600 bucks. If we get in at 1294 and our stops at 1293, so we're only risking $100. Okay, $100 to potentially make 4. There's no guarantee we'll make 4. We simply know that this area here, price will be drawn to it. Okay, but before it can get to 13, it's got to take out this swing high right here. The market is constantly putting obstacles in its own path, and the market is always trying to do something. Sellers are trying to put in lower prices, buyers are trying to put in higher prices on the hour, on the day, on the week, on the 5 minute. Okay. So back to what I was originally trying to explain was on the Concierge Trade Alert, you passed too much risk, you passed too much risk. Here, acceptable risk, and let's see, this was sell 97, yeah, and we needed to put our stop up at 99, $200 risk. 99, and the swing low was 93.30. Call it 94. From 97 to 94. I mean, if you were in this trade and you know what you had risked, you know, would you be willing to get out with $300 profit, knowing that the market may turn up? I think so. All right. I hope that brought you to a better understanding of how the Concierge Trade Alerts work and are to be traded. You will disqualify a lot of trade setups over the course of the day. A lot of triggers will come and go, and you're looking for, I've already identified the important price, important area. Your job is then to assess market conditions as price approaches the trigger. How much is the chart telling me I need to risk? And what is my profit? What is the chart telling me that my profit potential is? And you can say, you know, well, number one, you're definitely going to say I won't accept less than 1-to-1. But you might say, you know, I'm only going to do the where I risk 1 to make 2. Some of you who are very bold and or trade a lot, you know, more than one contract, okay? You might say, I'm going to wait for the 1-to-3 opportunities. Because I've been at this a while, I'm comfortable trading 10 contracts, and so when a 1-to-3 opportunity presents itself, I'm in. Which means you might observe 40 to 50 triggers in the course of a trading day and only find 2 or 3 or 5 that meet the criteria that you've established for yourself as a discretionary trader. Do you have what it takes to be a discretionary trader? I can't answer that. However, for the cost of, I don't think you can buy much for $1 these days, but you can get a 5-day trial of the alerts, and you can hang out with us in the live training room, and you can use our demo platform from DT Pro, and you can, you know, fool around with our indicators for the whole week. So when you take that $1 Concierge Trade Alert trial, you get access to the training room for the whole week, platform if you need it. You may already have a platform, you may not need it. See, for this type of trading, you don't need any indicators set or anything. Okay. Then if you should become a Concierge Trade Alert client, right? Whether it's quarterly or annually, during the time that your subscription is active, you have the comings and goings of a partner. You get the weekly zones, you get to come to the partners meeting, okay? Because in essence, you're not a partner, but you're a client, you know? I hope that doesn't sound offensive in any way, because it's not meant to. It's just that you've come in through a different door. All right. That's enough teaching for today. Y'all have worn me out. We covered every market. We did it. And I think this is one radio show where you might bookmark it this afternoon once it's posted. And what I've talked about and explained over the last 30 to 45 minutes, that's not some new theory. That's not something that just, came down the pike. That's the heart and soul of discretionary trading as best as I can convey it to you. Okay? Maybe someone else that could, teach you a lot better, but I've explained it. And if you watch the last 30, 45 minutes a couple times, if it didn't sink in this go around, watch it again. And if you still have questions, then book a mentoring session, and so we can fill in the holes. All right? Okay. All right, let me make sure I don't have any unanswered question in the chat box. I do not. That means I'm free to go, and so are you. Partners, I'll see you tonight in the live training room, and I promise you, I'm not going to say we'll start at 9 sharp on the nose, but I'm going to do my very best to get Michael to come so that we can have our weekly meeting from 6:30 to 7, and our 6, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of my time, 8:30 to 9, so that we can jump in and get the meeting started as close to 9 p.m. Eastern as possible. All right? Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.